Ain't it funny how you wanna be the best, but you can't even get up and get dressed? Wasted, face it, you're never gonna make it. Rockstar, you won't get far. I know you're confused. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. But damn, what a lie. What a time to be alive. How will I survive? That's the battlefield. 1974. I think I'm going insane. I'm feeling crazy. Can't get it out of my head. Oh no, if the devil inside takes hold, then I just might wind up dead. Wasted, face it. You're never gonna be the one. Rockstar, you won't get far. At least you had fun. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, a king or a queen, as long as you got a dream. Oh no, it's a lie. They just wanna take your life, try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. But damn, what a lie. What a time to be alive. How will I survive? That's the battlefield. 1974.
Finding shapes in the absence of clouds, like shadow painting. I was wrong about all the things that they told me. Stay up late while we learn to be loud. Watch the colors fade in. I was born to make change in places we can't see. I can't see what hidden in her head. No, I can't believe I'm drowning on dry land. And I won't stop, won't stop. And I won't stop, won't stop. And I won't stop, won't stop. Can't hold me down. And I won't stop, won't stop. And I
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. We are here with the beginning of a matchup between Dorado Gaming Sigma and XG Lightning, and I'm very excited for this one because it's been quite a while. We're pretty deep into the season, but now that means a clear frontrunner has formed, and that frontrunner most definitely is Dorado Sigma. The question is, can XG Lightning take it to them in this first match of this best of three? Looking at the draft already, both teams have done their homework. They're knocking out some of these specialty picks, and Shibby, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it seems as though it's kind of evolved in the meta right now for Blue Otter, at least in the Platinum division, is that, you just kind of ban out some of the pocket picks or some of the troublesome picks, like one tricks and stuff like that. And then we see kind of Zaya, Jinx, Nautilus, right, Jax. These are some of the top most banned champions in the league. So I'm not surprised. Most picked, obviously, is Jinx, Sivir, Wukong, right? These are champions that, if left open, are considered the power picks. And I think the Platinum League's got a pretty good read on the meta. Wukong super strong. Xayah is one of the most flexible champions in the AD carry position. Jinx, obviously, with a couple different buffs. You're getting micro buffed constantly, being able to be matched up with some of the other supports. The engage supports really makes her a very strong laner as well. So I'll be surprised if we don't see Jinx being rotated here now that Xayah's banned.
Yeah, certainly there's quite a bit more in terms of options for the bot lane that I think is a real sigh of relief for a lot of the AD carries, especially in the BOL. You know, a lot of the favorites are back on the menu. Xayah, as you said, is getting banned out here. Senna as well. So now that opens the door for things like that Jinx to come out. Aphelios as well, kind of popping back into the meta. Lightning, even with that new reworked Yumi, they don't want to see that on the Rift. That's going to be their final ban. And now this is a lot of priority on a champion I love, but I don't think a lot of pros would love to see picked this early in a draft phase. It's a Terra cover.
Yeah, the Taric is being hovered, can be played around pretty well, right? Generally, the strategy against Taric is that you just want to draft multiple forms of engagement. They just baited us. Like I said, when the Wukong is left up, it will be picked here. No surprise, as Wukong has just been getting an insane amount of value in all the games that we've seen, Yarko, right? We talk about it. If he gets a kill early, he gets the Sheen, the crushing blows, the Nimbus strike. I mean, it's just a whole lot of damage. And he doesn't necessarily need to bring the CC into the lane. If he gets onto your ADC, he's half healthing him with Sheen. Like, that's just what it is, right?
Yep.
Nimbus strike into the crushing blow, into the autos, and you're just kind of, you're not dead per se. You're not like really CC'd, but you kind of just run the lane without half of your health now gone. XG Lightning, though, countering potentially with the fast clear here on the Lilia. I like it. It's been getting a lot of buffs, patch after patch after patch, and hasn't really seen any nerfs. I think it's a very strong jungler, just hard to pilot and kind of hard to coordinate with your team. Like, hey, I'm going to flash Q sleep, get ready. Versus Wukong's, it's a very instantaneous, doesn't require a lot of communication. You see the Nimbus strike, you see the Cyclone, it's ready to go. As now the Talia gets put into XG Lightning's hand as well here. Really nice call. I like the fact that you can kind of gank bot. You have that mobility, kind of works similar to Aurelion Sol or Twisted Fate. It's pretty much a semi-global ultimate that can be used to kind of sway lanes.
And then Dorado Sigma going to fire right back with the Jinx makes a lot of sense for them. I like the fact that we're still seeing a lot of priority put down onto the bot side of the map when it comes to the draft. And now they're probably going to lock that full lane up with a support pick. I'm not going to say anything and say that that's just a definite Nautilus. Now that it's locked in, Shibby, go off on that pick. Why do you like this? Why do you think Jinx is back on the menu with some of those more engaged support-oriented styles?
I mean, it's just so much damage, right? And there's not that much counterplay. You have to pretty much dodge hook after hook after hook after hook. And the thing is, if he lands one, right, or if he gets onto you, he has the gank set up with the Cyclone with the Wukong, right? There's just so much front-loaded damage. The rockets, the lethal tempo that we usually see Jinx is running, right? Once she gets it going, it can be really hard to get away, right? The moment you get hooked, you either die or you have to back. Whereas on the Jinx Nautilus side, you can play defensively if you want. You can farm with Zap. You can farm with rockets. You can just become this late game threat, and also the snowball potential of this champion, right? All she needs is one kill, and she will just run the fight over.
XG Lightning going to respond nearly immediately with a Heimerdinger. This is probably going to go into the support role. There's some amount of flex potential, but honestly, at this point in time, I mean, I cannot believe I'm saying it, you know, because a year ago, this would have been a wild statement, but when was the last time you saw a Heimerdinger outside of the support role? That seems like a really good response to the Nautilus. Just create a little field of turrets. It's going to be much more difficult for that champion to hop on in with a dredge line and really impact the lane without taking a huge chunk of damage in return. And the zone control that we're now starting to see out of Red Squad when it comes to these neutral objectives, when it comes to fights that they have time to set up for, seems immaculate. Talia-E, Lilia just existing, especially if she has her ult up, right? Heimerdinger very similarly can create that forest of turrets. It's all looking like this is going to be a tough time for Dorado Sigma to push on in. They're going to have to look for picks or something prior to all of these dragons, all of these Rift Heralds, things like that.
Yeah, I think XG Lightning, the problem they have to solve now is they obviously need an AD threat, right? That's going to be the AD carry. But they also need like some sort of form of like really, really hard engage, right? A lot of their engage is skill shot dependent. A lot of it is you know, Lilia needs a flash up if she really wants to do anything. They kind of just need a button that goes, you know, Ornn, right? R button, right? They need some sort of cyclone. They need a Malphite maybe potentially, right? In the top lane, depending if you can get the top lane pick out of Dorado Sigma here if you want to save that. They just need something that's a little bit more clear, concise, and just, easy to use. And as we see the Ornn being hovered, like I said, yeah, that's an engage that doesn't require a summoner spell up, right? You can just let it rip, put it onto the Jinx, put it onto the Nautilus, and if you catch one of them, bam, you have the Lilia Seep coming in. You potentially have the Heimerdinger turrets, or the turret, or the grenade, or even the rockets if you want to pump out some damage, right? I like that XG Lightning recognized that they need kind of that more kind of non-summoner spell based engage, and they draft the Ornn here. Now they have to round it out though with an AD carry. I'm assuming they're gonna pick an AD carry. They're not gonna do any Talia, Heimerdinger bot shenanigans, but they have a couple options here to kind of let them scale better into the mid to late game. Varus is taken away, Caitlyn is taken away. You can play something like the Sivir Heimerdinger, which can just auto shove and keep the Nautilus and Jinx under the turret. You have a lot of different options here. I want to see what they're going to end up taking. I don't want to see something early game focused right now for this bot lane. You've got the Heimerdinger for that control, like you said, the zones of control. You also have the ornaments coming in. Like, you just kind of have to survive and play with your Heimerdinger and his strengths.
This is certainly a weird approach to the second part of the draft phase for XG Lightning. Ornn is good blind, but why are you blinding your top laner? Just give the counter pick over to that side of the map for Kartana, especially given the fact you already see the Jinx Nautilus bot. I don't really understand why they're withholding the AD carry for this long, but in fact, it could be because they aren't picking an AD carry at all, Shibby. That is going to be a Jace coming through. It may be that Talia Heimerdinger bot like you're talking about.
Yeah, there was a small inkling that it could be Talia Heimer, like I mentioned. I didn't think they were actually going to go through with it, but it's not a bad pick into the Jinx Nautilus. Like you said, zones of control, super important. Now you've got the Legos on the ground from Talia. Nautilus isn't going to be able to just kind of walk over, and just be able to come in and hook or E or R, right? The dredge line, the depth charge, you got to be a little bit more conscious of how you're going to use it. You can zone the Jinx away. You also have the wall, right, to set up ganks for your Lilia now. You have the roam potential with this Talia. So I'm assuming it's Talia Heimer bot, Lilia jungle, obviously Ornn top and Jace mid. Really good, solid mixed damage profile. My only concern is that they don't have a consistent DPS, right? A lot of it is burst heavy. A lot of it is, we're going to throw all our cooldowns and then we really can't do much here. Whereas as long as Jinx survives that initial rotation of the first fight that XG Lightning has, she is just going to be able to rocket, reset, and just keep going. So XG Lightning, when they swing, they can't miss at all.
And don't bar me from loving some really off-meta concepts, but I gotta say, I feel like XG Lightning's overall composition does struggle very heavily from the fact that they don't have a traditional marksman. I would love to see more mages play bot, especially my solo queue games. I think that they're incredibly reliable, but not when you already have this amount of AP damage coming out of your support and coming out of your jungler as well. Ornn, also gonna be pumping mostly AP, but building tank full all the way through. And so now that's a huge burden placed on a Jace, and there's such a high barrier of execution for, I think, this champion to do as much as a traditional marksman would. As you're saying, it's mostly because they're indexed so deeply into burst. They have to get really good setups. Vision control, zone control is going to be all the more important for XG Lightning. And this is certainly going to be a gamble. And I'm not sure if this is going to be the best way to try to take it to the very top team here in the BOL Platinum League.
I mean, I think if you're 5-0, right, you're 3-2 team going against them, you're trying to contend for the top. I think throwing Dorado, off of their game, giving them something that they've probably never played against, right? Like nobody knows what to do against Talia Heimer, right? Like, kind of relatively how the Heimer matchup kind of works because you've seen it so much. You've obviously played against it a couple times, but I think the Talia specifically added onto that. It works similar to Talia Pantheon, where you just have a lot of burst, right? If the grenade lands, you set up the jump, you set up the rocks, you set up everything. And so I'm gonna be looking towards Dorado's bot lane to really kind of navigate this, and hopefully they have some matchup knowledge, because it can go very south very quickly. If Jinx and Nautilus look for an engage, they go onto the Heimer or they whiff it, and then now you just get a truckload of damage coming out from XG Lightning's bot lane, and they're just gonna one-shot you, right? Like, they have so much burst. And by the way, there's also turrets, so they can even turn a 2v3 around potentially, right, if they play it right. So it's very dangerous ganking this bot lane. I want to see how how Dorado is going to navigate this, right? Mid lane
Yeah.
into the Jace, right? Ari Jace, it's a pretty skill dependent matchup, right? Once she hits 6, she can really look to kind of dodge around and get some kill pressure. The Mundo Orange is just going to be a wet noodle fight.
Yeah. Kind of the opposite of a skill-oriented matchup. Not necessarily because one hard counters the other, but because both champions are pretty resident sleeper early on. So I imagine that is going to take a little while before we see any kind of crescendo of action their top side of the map. Maybe we're going to get a whittle down one way or the other. You know, Ornn can't present kill pressure. Frankly, I feel like this champion kind of is overtuned regarding how much damage they're able to pump out for basically free. But Dr. Mundo obviously is a tough champion to put a lot of damage into. So I think certainly this is going to be a matchup of the mids, a matchup of the bot side of the map. And, you know, for as much as I love Taliyah, as much as I am hear what you're saying, Shibby, my worry is that this is kind of a lane that Matt G and Griffin can just kind of shrug their shoulders about. The Jinx is always going to be able to farm up. The Nautilus will have a great time roaming mid into a Jace, actually, especially if they're going to get some follow-up from Banger. And, you know, the Jinx is going to be relatively free to solo farm bot if they want to, because Heimerdinger is not necessarily great on the offense, right? It's very hard to push back into this champion, but this champion inherently is going to shove the waves a little bit. And Taliyah, this entire team actually doesn't really have setup for a WE combo. You just kind of have to hit it raw. And even though it has been made slightly easier post mid scope, I don't think it's actually easy enough for this to be an accessible and reliable source of damage to set up for XG Lightning as a whole.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there's a lot of situational engage, a lot of situational damage, right? Ornn is the only one that has kind of a clear button where he's got a wide enough range. He clicks the R, and it's a really wide range of CC/knock up here. Heimerdinger has the evolved E, right? You have the Taliyah setup. You've also got the wall. Lillian requires a summoner spell pretty much every time if she really wants to get going. The Dr. Mundo is going to be a little bit troublesome, right? Dorado, they've got a really big, beefy health stacking tank. And if you don't have any true damage, right, I'm expecting like potentially double Leandries. You need consistent damage, like a Kraken Slayer ADC, to really chew through the Dr. Mundo here. Wukong's going to get insane value, right, with his Cyclone, right? A lot of these champions, they want to kind of clump up. The Lillian wants to clump up. The Heimerdinger wants you guys to clump up. And then he's just going to be able to kind of go into the backline, Cyclone, get immense amounts of damage. The Ornn will be kind of off in the distance, looking to get an engage here. So I'm looking for Dorado's jungler to really make an impact early. Lilia doesn't have a lot of CC, can't really do much until she hits level 6. Wukong, yes, kind of has the same problem, but he just brings so much more damage, has better gank angles, right, with the clone, with the invisible. So I'm expecting this Wukong gonna pop off in the mid game.
Yeah, me too. I love Wukong as a pick, honestly. I know that it's getting a little bit tiresome seeing it basically every single draft, Shibby, but boy, does it bring some big mid-game plays. Also, the high tempo ganking early is always appreciated when it comes to being a bloodthirsty play-by-play caster. But speaking of being bloodthirsty, I want to get onto the Rift pretty quickly here, so I think it's about time that we throw it to a quick break to wait out the rest of the spectator delay, guys. We will be back very, very shortly for this first matchup between Dorado Gaming Signet and XG Lightning here in the BOL. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Rift for game number 1 between Dorado Gaming Signa and XG Lightning here in the Blue Otter League. We got quite a game ahead of us, I believe, and we got a lot of really good skins on the map. I just wanted to remark that these are my two favorite skins for Talia and Heimerdinger, respectively. So I'm looking forward to having the campaign bot some more. And already, I want to see it pan bot because this is a very interesting choice by XG Lightning. Foregoing a classical ADC for a double mage bot, and then you have that Jace as your sole source of AD into the mid lane for Prim.
We see Nuffy's actually swapping over to the top side here, and Sluter will be playing mid. It's going to be really interesting. Traditionally, what I've seen is that Nuffy's is the mid laner and Sluter's the top laner, but I guess they don't really care that much. Maybe they forgot to swap. Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see if Dorado, with this flex of their two solo laners, can kind of weather the storm. I like how you mentioned that double bot lane, the mage bot lane. It has very strong burst, but as long as Matt G can kind of survive some of it or dodge some of it, he'll just win these extended trades out indefinitely, right? Him and Griffin are just going to lay the beat down onto Juicebox and Improvise here, and they can't really do anything. Their autos are pitiful, and a lot of their early cooldowns, I believe, like Talia's Q's on like an 8-second cooldown or something crazy, or 6.5 seconds if it's not on worked ground. Heimerdinger turrets is like I believe it's like a 10-second cooldown. So it's a lot of abilities that need to be rotated, and as long as Matt G and Griffin fight within that downtime, they'll win most of the trades here. They just have to kind of bear getting shoved in, and hopefully they're not low enough before Banger comes in and ganks bot lane here. But Sluter is taking the pain from Prim right now.
And across the map, we're already seeing how these lane dynamics are going to play out. I think for much of laning phase, I actually kind of hope that the Monkey Man, who does go for kind of a weird 3 camp here, doesn't focus bot a whole lot, because that CC, the counter engage, is the way the XG Lightning will be able to fight back and get a lot of gold over to the AD carry early in this one, or their AP carry, I guess, in this case. They will be setting up, though, so, you know, good luck on Banger's part. They're getting in, forcing a flash out of Juicebox early, trying to jump down on Talia, who will be able to make it under the tower, and now Banger getting exhausted is being ticked low. That Heimer turn's gonna do enough for first blood to be claimed by XG Lightning, and, well, Shibby, you know, can't say I didn't call it.
Yeah, just unfortunate. They hyper-indexed a little bit too much on the aggressiveness here. Oh, as Griffin is going to come in. That's a red buff Heimer, though. He's going to auto you with those wrenches. It's going to hurt a little bit. I think they should have just been content with getting the flash out of Juicebox and then back up. A flashless mage, especially into the Nautilus, that guarantees the kill the next time around here. Unfortunately, Banger takes 1 2 timing turret shots and doesn't account for the turrets being placed into the lane and just dies.
Certainly, you know, already I can tell you from solo queue, Shibby, junglers don't always have the best understanding of turrets, especially now if there's multiple ones in lane. It could be a rough time for sure. Prim is playing all the way inside of that blue side choke point over there, doing a pretty good job, still able to trade with Sluter, and that's actually buying the space for Phoenix Fire to begin peeking their head down bot side of the map. There's not really any camps for them to take, but I think that Lilia will appreciate that gain division.
Yeah, now Kartna. Banger on the gangster. Kartna's gonna have to flash.
Yeah, good flash there from the Ornn. We'll see if Blue Squad wants to push the advantage. It certainly looks like they're going to try to do so. Banger jumping in under the tower once more, and the tower shots are going to make that a 1-for-1 trade. Nuffy's actually is the one picking up the aggro there, so Wukong gets out alive. That was a dicey one for a second time. Luckily, Dorado Gaming Signa this time will at least pick something up, but still, across the map, I'm going to say XG Lightning, they're coming out on top.
I mean, a 1-for-1 in a two-man dive for Kartna here has the TP up as well. He's not gonna miss too many minions. Picks up the Bammy Cinder, but now Improvise looking to do something with this Heimerdinger on the red buff as well. Hasn't backed since that initial kill. Overall, XG Lightning, they've just been really, I'm not gonna say lucky, but they've just been taking advantage of some really good opportunities. And unfortunately, Banger's over aggressiveness gets Nuffy's killed.
Certainly, and it's just a matter, I think, of Dorado Gaming Signa, appreciating some alternative lifestyles, maybe waking up a little bit late, not having their coffee in time, getting onto the Rift a little bit woozy, because this is not the kind of play you expect out of a team that has basically dominated the BOL regular season so far. I imagine that they're going to come into it just a little bit more as this laning phase continues to develop. Already, I like a change over from Griffin rather than just trying to focus down Juicebox and company. They spend a bit of time to roam up, secure the lane for Sluter, and the Nautilus, I think, will be able to continually do this. I know we were talking about it a bit off of broadcast, but Juicebox can't really set up that well for WE unless Improvise hits a really difficult skill shot of their own. And so as long as you have faith in your AD carry, I see no reason as to why you have to stay in this lane. Unless this gank can get a kill, here's 2 turrets trying to hit down Banger. Juicebox with a good seismic shove is able to knock back most of the onslaught, but Matt G gets in under it and is now excited. Juicebox also going to go down. It's a double kill for the Jinx, although Nuffy's top side is going to get soloed down by the Ornn.
Yeah, the fire breath comes in from Cardinal here. Now Prim looking to get some damage. It's going to be a massive burst.
Sluter at half health, barely able to walk over towards their tower to take these caster minions. And this Jace is bullying the Ahri early. I think that this is a great setup for XG Lightning to now actually pivot down into the river. Maybe even contest this dragon. Yeah, Banger pretty low, has the ability to get over the wall, but Griffin wants to commit to the fight. Improvise comes in, whiffs their E. That's going to be difficult now for XG Lightning to play off of. That being said, Matt G runs too far forward into that forest. The turrets is taken out, and now with these shots raining down from above by Prim, it means that Banger and Griffin are in a really rough spot. They just have to cower under the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. No dragon claim. Dorado Gaming Signa losing one.
Yeah, but Matt G now has 2 kills under his belt. He's going to make this lane an absolute nightmare for Juicebox and Improvise. Like, you just see the CS difference at the moment, right? Because of all the pressure that Banger has put on, unfortunately, Juicebox just hasn't been able to CS too well. The lane gets shoved in. Matt G's been able to farm up really nicely, picks up 2 kills. And like we mentioned, these extended fights, as Kartna is just bringing the pain train to Nuffies at the moment.
And you really have to wonder, what is the virtue of playing the Taliyah bottom instead of an AD carry, right? That's kind of the debate that you have to constantly have with yourself, because it wasn't like you were lacking for magic damage prior to picking the Taliyah when you already knew you had the Lilia up and the Heimerdinger was a possibility for your support to play it, right? You're massively outranged by a lot of these AD carries. Sure, your Q, especially now that it's getting to a lower cooldown, is going to be valuable, but it's not like you're doing a whole lot of damage in comparison. And now you're just kind of denying your ability to really accelerate towards the higher levels that Taliyah now needs to really become the burst mage of her dreams.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Matt G and Griffin kind of navigate this lane now that they have the pressure here. I mean, it's a noon quiver into what is almost a lost chapter for Juicebox. Cardinal, though, regardless of everything that's kind of been happening on the map, has been handling himself very, very well in this lane. Rim, nice Jace mechanics here, the moves, right? Gets the knockback, is able to kind of exert some pressure. They're a kill apiece in the mid lane, but you need to see a little bit more when you pick the Jace, right? You pick it for that early game burst, that early game damage, and you get that mid lane control so you can roam to objectives here. But so far, XG Lightning, they haven't been the ones to start the Dragons. They haven't been ones to start the Heralds. They need to use the pressure that these solo lanes are creating to start capturing these objectives.
And why not start the dragon here? I know Phoenix Fire is sitting there in that bot side of the map, or was sitting in the bot side of the map, looking for some kind of gank. But, right now, Matt G and Griffin are so pushed into the tower, it's going to be a while before we see any kind of bounce back from the Jinx Nautilus. And while that's happening, look at how strong Prim is in comparison with Sluter. Sure, the Ahri has picked up a kill off of that last play, but it doesn't change the fact that Prim has been doing such a great job just kind of out-mechanicsing everybody that comes their direction. Banger was down a level while Phoenix Fire had their Lilting Lullaby available as well, and so that means that they had the ability to probably just rush down this objective, and XG Lightning would have to respect it. Now we're seeing Griffin trying to maybe move in here. Great slow on to Improvise, and now Sluter's able to follow up with a charm of their own. That's the Heimerdinger dead. Banger trying to find the angle onto Prim. Will finally get it this time around as Phoenix Fire tries to navigate what is now a very dicey fight. They try to push forward with the Lilting Lullaby, but Super Mega Death Rocket's gonna answer right back, and XG Lightning get the dragon, but they lose 3 members.
They just had to walk it out there. They had the Talia wall as there as Cardinal messes up the solo kill here. They could have walled off and gone away, right? They took the dragon, they got the objective. Heck, even Griffin missed the hook, right? It got eaten up by the Heimer turret. There's no reason to fight that. Prim is half a mile away, right? He throws a shock blast, that's all he can really do. You got the dragon, but now you gave so much gold away to Dorado. They are 3,000 ahead after that fight.
It just seems so foolhardy to go for that, especially given the fact that Heimerdinger doesn't have ult. This champion's power budget is so heavily indexed towards that spell and the ability to empower probably your Q in that situation that it really just feels like XG Lightning were fighting with a man down. As you're saying, this is Griffin blowing their core spell during a fight, and it just ultimately doesn't matter. I do like this little contingency plan, though. Improvise now moving with Prim, maybe trying to get an invade or setup around this blue buff that Banger is taking, but in enemy territory, nothing is certain. Dr. Mundo has to take the back, but Ari Nautilus sitting there in the mid lane means that they have a fast rotation up. Prim does manage to steal the blue buff, though, and Griffin wants to go a walking into 3 members. I don't know about that one, Nautilus. They have the depth charge. They get out alive, though.
Aftershock plus W, and Nautilus is completely fine. Didn't have to burn the flash or anything. He could just walk up like that, Merc treads, and a health crystal in hand. That is going to get the burst down onto the support, so they will be able to pick up this objective here on the Rift Rail, but they are still down a good chunk of change here. And right now, Dorado, they just got to scale up. Their Jinx is in a very powerful position. Heartsteel completed on Nuffies. Let him get to that unkillable Mundo point, because eventually Phoenix Flare, Prim, these guys, they're not going to be able to just touch him at all.
Well, the good news, Shibby, is that I don't think we're going to be seeing this kind of draft out of XG Lightning for a second game running. Hopefully, Juicebox will go to something more normal, and maybe from there, we'll see them bounce back in the series. Right now, this game is looking all Dorado Gaming Sigma all the time. We may have lost Shibby. Oh, hello. There we are.
Hello. I'm back here. Prim does eat that ability into the mid lane here. Sorry about that. But yeah, I want to kind of build upon that point where you try to just draft from XG Lightning. You try to get the advantage in that bot lane. Clearly, you tried to throw them off. Yeah, you got that early kill gifted to you. But after that, it just became the Dorado show, right? With Matt G and Griffin. Just a lot of unprovoked fights, a lot of, as Improvise does hit the grenade.
And the exhaust comes out as well. Maybe Juicebox can set something up, but they just walk right into the flame choppers. They're just gonna have to settle for a seismic shove with no earth to work with after that. So the Wombo combo is now gone. Juicebox, unfortunately, not able to pressure a kill off of was a really good E from Improvise. Now, Carton on top side of the map once is going to be in a health deficit. Fires off the call of the Force God, but it doesn't matter. Mundo goes where he pleases, and where he wants to go is to get more priority top side of the map. Sluter going to give chase to Prim down a level, trying to pull the R towards Phoenix Fire. That could work. Sluter now knows that they have to back off. They're going to flash away, but Banger is here as the follow-up. And in this 2v2, Dorado Gaming Sigma is going to find traction to get 2 more kills.
I feel like this has just been XG Lightning's kryptonite. They try a play, it doesn't work, it doesn't land, and they still try to force it, right? The moment the bowling ball misses Sluter, you can't go for that play anymore. Now Improvise, he's gonna Zhonya's.
And look at how much value Griffin is getting before emerging virtually unscathed. Maggie does have to work on dodging those Talia W's. It's making the Jinx a little bit more vulnerable, but it just doesn't matter. Griffin immediately turns their aggro back over to this mage. Now they have to back off, Improvise all alone inside of the alcove. Griffin is going to try to chase them down. Eventually is repelled by the turrets, though. Look at how low the health bars are for Red Squad. This is an immediate reset. They have to bless their lucky stars that Matt G did not take, like dodge a few more abilities, right? Because that would have been another double kill over to the Jinx. They would have been immensely fed. And now the Nautilus and their AD carry manages to get out alive, even with Prim roaming down.
Yeah, and Matt G also threw their super mega death rocket into that top side after when that Phoenix Flare and Prim fight was happening with Banger and Sluter. If he had that ability ready, you have to believe Juicebox Improvise is dead. The reset comes in, and that's a double kill. Now Banger is just going to go on to Prim. The charm
Oh, it's beautiful. Prim tries to do all they can with those lane bullying abilities, but it works a little bit less well when you're getting bullied yourself by this jungler just camping you over and over again. Once again, the Jace is sent back to the fountain, and that was one of the strong points out of the very early laning phase from XP Lightning. Now taking down a Peg and Shibby. Where is Dorado Gaming Sigma actually losing now?
Nowhere. There's 6,000 gold up, Nyarko. Top lane is even fine now, right now, despite Cardina's best intentions, right? He can't do anything. He can fight, you can wet noodle, you can throw it out. As now Phoenix Flare is here, they're gonna have to take the passive out.
That being said, they will have the Dream just put onto them. They won't have their passive back up for the ultimate to come through. But like you're saying, Shibby, I don't think you can kill the Mundo anymore. Knockups are coming through. You're actually starting to do damage to the champion, but that's only after he's walked halfway back towards his tower. And now even with that wave, there's no dive potential whatsoever.
That's a full health Mundo with ultimate and Heartsteel and Merc Treads. You're not gonna kill him anymore.
Like, you're all magic damage. It's because you drafted like this that he's able to build the Merc Treads. What are you guys doing? Oh boy.
Oh man. I mean, we saw it in the draft, right? We saw like this Mundo's gonna have a ton of value once he starts building his tank items. Once he starts going, now Prim is here. He wants a piece.
Wow, the person that does AD damage can cut through the Mundo. Shocking, I know. Juicebox is dead, though, so you win some, you lose some. You might actually lose a little bit more. As Improvise also struggling to get out from under the double Cyclone charges. Wukong gonna continue to push forward here. Improvise at about 100 health. No, Wukong's just dead again. Hoisted again by the petard known as Heimerdinger.
Oh man, just another outplay from Improvise here, right? Banger not even cognizant of the turrets at all. He tried to go for the kill. He crushing blowed the huge turret and still thought he's like, all right, I can kill this Heimerdinger. Actually, the rotation is now Cardinal with a nice Bellows Breath.
Yeah, Griffin's in a lot of trouble. They're blocked out from under the tower range. They can't get to safety in time. So Cardinal will pick one up before eventually being taken down by a deep dive by Sluter. And now Nuffy's looking for revenge top side of the map. Will be able to claim it up against Prim. So Peaks and Valleys, Dorado Gaming Sigma are bouncing right back.
Nuffies, when he's at full health, I don't think any singular member of XG Lightning will be able to take him on in the 1v1. Heck, he even survived a 2v1 here. He didn't even build armor. He still hasn't really indexed into the armor, right? He's still going for that Spirit Visage value here. I can't wait till he picks up like a Thornmail, a Randuin's Omen, or something even crazier than that, right? Dead Man's Plate even. Like, he could go any of these items. And now Prim, the only one that could potentially even kind of burst him out, doesn't stand a chance. Nuffies just needs to hit that 3-item point, and I think it's all over for XG Lightning, if it isn't already.
Yeah, there certainly is the ability for XG Lightning to layer CC onto Nuffies, and eventually they'll be able to take the Mundo out. Even with 2 members, we saw that successfully happen. Cardinal and Phoenix Fire were able to kind of build up off the back of... Sorry, I keep calling Phoenix Flare Phoenix Fire, by the way. I think it's the name of like a butterfly knife YouTuber or something. Who's to say? Regardless, yeah, they will be able to kill the Mundo, but think about all the resources it's going to take in order to do so. Where in the world are you getting the resources to take them down, plus the Ahri, plus the Jinx, plus Griffin, who just doesn't seem to have a care in the world, and it's incredibly tanky in their own right as well. Banger, you know, they're just there. They're probably going to die to the Heimerdinger as they already have twice, but hey, you know, still, the Wukong's probably going to get a few knockups before they are fully melted.
And now the gold lead is being realized, right? You see Dorado, they're an item up on most of their counterparts here, right? Oh, as now Griffin, he's just going to be able to walk it out, though. Yeah, the burst is not enough. Juicebox and Improvise are simply not ahead of the tank curve. Their damage is not there. It's a Leandries to Leah, right? You don't have that Luden's burst. You've got Riley's on Improvise. Yeah, you can chunk somebody out, but realistically, this bot duo is not going to kill anybody. I don't even think they have the burst to kill out Matt G now.
No, not at all. And Juicebox had to flash there in a very awkward situation.
Oh, this is Rocket Hit.
Summoner spell not going to be available for XG Lightning come this 3rd dragon of the game. We're ticking down towards that timer. I personally think that at this point in time, Red Squad is just going to have to respect the fact that Dorado Gaming Sigma has perma prio bot. They will have to just look elsewhere on the map for an advantage, and I honestly don't know where they can get it, especially given the fact that Nuffies has just been perma splitting top without even really resetting for quite a while now.
He's never grouped.
No.
I have not seen Nuffies in one team fight. All the team fighting has just been Banger, Sluter, Maggi, and Griffin, right? They've been 4v4ing or 4v5ing. And now Nuffies saying, send the army, send the navy, send everybody you've got.
And already he's made it past the Talia East, so that means that he has the space to pop off even versus 3 members. Juicebox just has to look for a reset. They know that this is a failed fight, especially with Maggi rotating into the Reaper. Phoenix player has to flash away, might not even get out alive. And while that's all happening, Banger and Sluter in their own right are getting so much gold off of the Shelly drop. The Wukong is being taken low by the Call of the Forge God, but Sluter is here. They are ride or die for their Wukong, and they're going to try to take this fight versus the Ord.
All things considered, looks like nobody is gonna die here. Abilities being traded across the map. Flash as well.
Juicebox,
I didn't see that.
it's a 21-minute Baron. Juicebox is ignited. They're taken down. How did they get that neutral objective? Now, bot side of the map, Kartana is dueling with Banger. Here comes the cavalry. XT Lightning gonna reset, gonna find the angle. I think they're gonna kill both of them, but already Baron Dasher's dead. Shibby, you can give full 5 kills over to XT Lightning. I don't think it's gonna answer back to the massive gold lead that Dorado Gaming Sigma has constructed. And even knowing that they have 2 members dead, Nuffy still wants to push it for the good name of Dorado Gaming towards this dragon. Griffin's gonna be here. Maggi follow us up as well. Carter going low, gets hit by the dredge line. Phoenix player trying to find the angle to scale the dragon. Eventually they're gonna be repelled though, as now they have no front line. Cardina's gonna die. Griffin flashing over the wall will have their hook blocked, so the Orc does get to safety, but the Jace is not so lucky because of the super mega death rocket. And now Nuffy's on the heel, and Juice pushes forward. Improvise is gonna die. Phoenix player gonna follow them soon after, I'm sure of it. And what madness are we seeing on the Rift?
This is just a 3v5 from Nuffies, Maggi, and Griffin, right? They are so far ahead in gold. It's an IE Kraken Slayer Jinx. You've got a Heart Steel, Spirit Visage, Mundo, right? You've got so much damage, so much tankiness. The Mundo creates the space, and the Jinx just rockets them down one by one. They are 10,000 gold ahead, Dorado, right? They are so far ahead. Even if they go down 2 members, they can still 3v5. It's just absolute domination coming out from Dorado.
I don't think we're highlighting the fact enough, guys. Dorado Gaming Sigma, with like 3 members, none of them which were the junglers, nor did any of them have smite, took the Baron Nashor in front of a team that is very capable of actually stealing that away in a 50-50 scenario. XG Lightning had the spells, but it doesn't matter. Juicebox walks up, they just die. Dorado Gaming Sigma turn and fight with 3 members, and then they do it again for the dragon. What? It's absolute madness on the Rift. Now look at Nuffies once again. He just goes where he pleases, walks right by Cartna, waving the hello, takes down the turret, forcing the Ornn into a very uncomfortable 1v1. Griffin might be in trouble, has to throw out the depth charge a little bit early, yet still gets to safety. Even with the Lilting Lullaby fired off, Dorado Gaming Sigma are able to push forward, and XG Lightning find no purchase on the map. Now, Nuffies will get the inhibitor all alone. Cartana already whittled down the less than half health. Finally, the mob will come through and put the Dr. Bruno into the mosh pit, but they still might not be able to get it before Prim goes down. I don't know. Now Banger rotates in with a big knockup off that Cyclone. Sluter follows through as well, constantly there, the companion, the Wukong to the very end. Cartana gonna be forced all the way back towards the fountain. Are we just gonna see the end right here, right now, Shibby?
Potentially, we see the Jinx pushing into the mid lane. Bottom lane inhib is down. Mid lane inhib is gonna go. They've got the minions. Death timers are long. Phoenix Flare and Improvise, the only 2 up, and I don't think they can stop it. 24 minutes in, Dorado Gaming Sigma are just gonna take the game.
Yeah, Nuffy's just gonna teleport right back onto the Rift, and I think that as soon as the Mundo starts autoing the Nexus, this game is completely done. It's probably done prior to that as well. They can't work through this health bar. They don't have the CC available. Banger, Sluter, and company are all going low, but nobody can deal with the Dr. Mundo, who's just hoovering up gold on the back line. Why am I even playing by playing this? Dorado Gaming Sigma have won the game. Now they're just playing with their food. What a ridiculous start to this series, Shibby.
Dorado Gaming Sigma. They saw the AP. They saw the burst. You know what they said? All right, we'll just slap a Mundo here. All right, bet you're never going to kill this guy. Nuffy's on an absolute rampage, not to be outmatched or outdone. Matt G as well does massive amounts of damage into that bot lane as well. These two guys, hardworking, diligent carries of Dorado Gaming Sigma and XG Lightning. They got too cute. They got to go back to the drawing board, Nyako, because I did not like that. That was a steaming pile of diaper doo-doo draft that I've ever seen.
No, you're right. And Shibby, I couldn't see it better myself. It was an adorable draft. It was so cute. The problem was that was like watching Hello Kitty getting punted in the face, right? Dorado Gaming Sigma was like, screw your jokes. We're just gonna walk in and steamroll every single lane. And what really hurts me is the fact that that was Sigma showing signs of weakness early. This Wukong didn't know what to do versus a Heimerdinger at all, right? Those were two freebie deaths over to XG Lightning. That's so much gold to a champion that really needs that to pop off and carry. They could have started playing off of Vision or something like that, roaming maybe with their mid laner into enemy territory. We already saw them steal the blue buff, get the kills as well. That's what I wanted to see, but no. XG Lightning never really had the chance to rally. Dorado Gaming Sigma, when it came to the big moments, when it came to the group fights, almost never stumbled. And that was textbook. I mean, it was beyond textbook. That was like, you know, fourth year collegiate mathematics kind of play. How in the world did they know to take the Baron? That's the thing that blows my mind, given the fact that we have so far casted like at least one Baron throw every single week. All of a sudden, Dorado Gaming Sigma showing people how it's done. We don't even need a full team. We're gonna take it on cooldown? Absolutely mad. It's craziness on the Rift. Dorado Gaming Sigma making a statement, demonstrating why they are the top contenders, why they haven't even dropped a game so far, Shibby, here in the BOL Platinum Division. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of them from game number 2. It's a matter of, can we see XG Lightning rise to the challenge? Clearly, they've had it shown that they can't go for something crazy. I want to see a meta draft out of them, and I want to see them pilot those champions to perfection here, because they need to win this next game to stay competitive in this best of 3. With that in mind, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick break. When we return, it's going to be for that aforementioned draft. Don't go anywhere.
I'm hearing all of what you say to me, but I'll think it over. It's a little bit hard to breathe, to breathe, to breathe. This kinda seems like it's a common theme. You don't think I understand what you said to me, to me, to me. Yeah, every time that we have this talk, it's a little bit hard to admit our faults. But I'm not so perfect. Is all of this worth it? Is all of this worth it? This feeling is fading, and I can't look back and can't catch my breath. It's too hard to let go. It's too hard to let go. Good, 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 Just look at me, breathing deep. After all the things we've been through, yeah, don't forget the reasons not to let this slip through our heads. Yeah, every time that we have this talk, it's a little bit hard to admit our faults. But I'm not so perfect. Is all of this worth it? Is all of this worth it? This feeling is fading, and I can't look back and can't catch my breath. It's too hard to let go. It's too hard to let go. Good. Too hard to let go.
Hello, friends, and welcome to XG Lightning Slander, where XG Cartana just said that prod doesn't matter, and therefore I'm going to be very grumpy and be very critical of their performance in game number 1. Stibby, they freaking ran it, and I don't really know how they're going to improve. Probably by not picking a Talia bot, that would be a huge help. Also, not losing all their solo lanes after getting some free kills donated either way, that would also help. So, Dorado Gaming Sigma, they are not the ones that have to do their homework here, right? This is all up to XG Lightning to come out of this remediation class and actually make a statement on the Rift, because otherwise they're being sent home 2-0.
And I want to see Cartana on a carry, right? He finagled and finessed the tank v tank matchup. He's actually doing pretty good as the Ornn into the Mundo, right? Got the solo kill. It's just unfortunately the rest of his map was kind of set on fire.
Yeah.
Cartana, I think he's one of the bright spots for XG Lightning, and I think if you put him on a carry, something like the Camille, like the Jax, I've seen him on Darius, right? This guy, if given the gold and if given the resources, can will XG Lightning to a win, right? And I think it's very important that you kind of get him that advantageous lane matchup as well, as now XG Lightning is on the blue side here. They have first pick available to them. Wukong taken away, Xayah taken away. They also banned the Jinx Yumi. There's a couple other picks still available that we've seen kind of been prioritized, right? Nautilus has been a really big pick just in Blue Water as a whole. We've also seen a lot of Jarvan, Thresh as well, most picked. I think Sivir has also been most picked. Rakan, you got Varus, and there we go. There we see the Sivir. crazy stats are amazing, yeah. But now you first pick and you leave yourself up open to a very, very, hard counter pick, right? You can get Caitlyn, you can get Varus. There's a lot of things that play very well into Sivir, and she can't really do much about.
Certainly. Sivir is a champion, though, that also doesn't really need to do a whole lot during the laning phase to benefit from their scaling. You're just kind of able to shove these waves out. It's very, very safe. Dorado Sigma, they kind of want to overcome that safety net that Sivir inherently has, though. They're going to grab a dive-oriented AD carry. I imagine this is going to be paired up with another engaged support for Griffin. Like you're calling Shibby, I think Kai'Sa Nautilus is a really good setup. Even something a little bit more indexed towards Hook, I think, would also be pretty good. The Thresh is a really solid pick if Dorado Gaming knows how to play it. But Alistar is the kind of the opposite. They're the reverse sick champion. You just throw yourself at them, and typically you get a knockup. Sometimes if you bungle your WQ finger roll, you can't quite get the second part of the headbutt pulverized combo. But, you can take all those concerns away by just picking the Nautilus instead.
Yeah, Kai'Sa Nautilus. Once you see the Kai'Sa, it's almost a given that the Nautilus gets rotated here. XG Lightning do have better tools to kind of deal with the depth charge, the dredge line, right? You can literally just spell shield one of them and kind of negate everything that Nautilus does as a champion. So you're going to have to bait that out if you're Nautilus here. Dorado Sigma, though, drafting a pretty solid bot lane. I like the Thresh pick, the added safety with the Lantern as well. It allows you to play that shove-heavy Sivir that we see, right? The boomerang blades, the ricochet, right? You shove the lane in, have the Thresh play back in the bot lane, and the moment it's shoved in, if you see a gank or you feel that something's coming, you throw the Lantern out and you're good to go, right? And the safety from this lane is immense. There's not really a lot, unfortunately, Dorado Sigma can do unless they land a dredge line here. Sivir and Thresh are just going to have really good shove into Kai'Sa Nautilus.
Yeah.
So going to see how Dorado Sigma and specifically Banger navigates this bot lane, right? Because we've already seen he's over aggressive, or he's very aggressive, let's say, into these ganks, and he's willing to commit a good chunk of his health bar, just to like get the kill or burn sums, right? He doesn't stop at just a good gank. He wants a great gank.
And sometimes that pays off. He's going to get some kills over to Dorado Gaming Sigma that other junglers may not be able to secure. But simultaneously, especially up against a lane like Sivir Thresh, like what we saw before with the Talia Heimerdinger, if you really push too deep, you are going to be feeding free gold over to laners. And nobody likes that out of a jungler. It's good that this is coordinated play, right? So Matt D and Griffin can tell them verbally to stay out of the bot side. But we'll have to see how they want to angle this game, especially now that they're on something a little bit less high tempo and much more skirmish oriented towards that mid game. It's the Viego to face off against Phoenix Flare's Vi.
Yeah, and Dorado Sigma, once again, have a champion that just has really high reset potential, right? Jinx in game 1. Now they have the Viego in game 2. You can follow up really well with the Viego Kai'Sa dive, right? You have Nautilus coming in with the depth charge. That individual should just die to Kai'Sa Viego, unless it's like something like a really, really tanky top laner that XG Lightning might pick, right? If you throw that onto the Vi, you throw that on the Sivir, heck, even the Thresh, that person should be pretty much dead to rights here. So now we're going to see if Dorado Sigma hyper indexes into more dive carry or dive threats, right? If they go something like potentially the Yone into the top lane or an Ahri in the mid lane, as Gwen Greg is banned out from XG Lightning, Dorado Sigma banning more of the control mages into the mid lane here, as now that Yone doesn't actually reveal too much for Dorado Sigma.
Nope.
Can be flexed both top and mid, so really nice pick from them. XG Lightning are gonna have to play kind of guess where he's going with these champion picks, and hopefully they don't like kind of inadvertently counterpick themselves.
And XG Lightning so far haven't really been the most liberal users of counterpick potential. It is the case that they just kind of blind drafted what they so desired. They even didn't reserve on red side of the top side pick for Kartana. They just kind of grabbed them the Ornn early. Here, Lightning's just going to stack 2, so they won't even have that counterpick potential, really. As you're saying, Renekton is going to be coming through pretty safe. If it's up against the Yone, I think they're happy about that. If they're up against something a little bit more tanky, that's also perfectly fine. The Sakali Hover, though, is also going to be a very interesting call. This may be a little bit more dicey. You really have to rely now upon that Vi and Thresh to frontline well.
Ooh, they take the Ahri away potentially from Dorado Sigma here. I like that. I think regardless of where you put this Yone, you have Rennie match, right? Like if you have to send Ahri into the top lane, do it. because Rennie into Yone is a really good matchup for him. He outbursts him. The shield that Yone gets completely negated if it's a full
Yep.
rage bar stun from the Rennie, right? He just wins out in every aspect of the laning phase here and does really, really good into these melee mid laners. As now the Cassante potentially will be locked in for Dorado Sigma here. So yeah, they're going to put that most likely into the top lane. Don't know if we're going to see some shenanigans from XG Lightning where they're just going to move the Ari to whatever matchup they feel more comfortable. But I would prefer matching Rennie into Yone here. Dorado Sigma, they've got a bit of dive. With the Yone, with the Viego, with the Nautilus, they've also got isolation damage from the Cassante, right? You could just stick them in the side lane and say, hey, go to work, right? Just never group. You don't need to. Just go for the 1v1. Force the Renekton or force the Ari to come at you. Will win the 4v4, which Dorado Sigma is completely comfortable doing.
Also, something to note, though, for Dorado Gaming Sigma's side is the fact that Nuffies and Sluter have a very fluid conception of who is the mid laner and who's the top laner. It could be the case that we just see a snapback of both of these players going towards their alternate roles, with Sluter playing top for the Cassante and then Nuffies being on the Yone. I think that even leads further to your idea that we could be seeing pretty close rotations between XG Lightning and Dorado Sigma between the solo lanes. Could be the case that they're just going to be swapping throughout, man.
Yeah, XG Lightning drafting a bit more of a standard composition, we can say, right? You have Renekton Ari, dive buddies. You also got Vi coming in. Sivir, very solid utility, AD carry, can use his ultimate on the hunt to kind of get that team ready and in onto someone like the Kai'Sa or even the Yone here. And plus, you've got the Thresh ready with the lantern, just in case somebody dives just a little bit too deep. You've got that added safety coming in from XG Lightning. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot more of a competitive game too, for sure. But Dorado Sigma have kind of almost matched identity for identity, right? They've got Kai'Sa, Viego, Yone. They also want to dive your back line. But now it's going to be like up to execution, right? Nautilus as well doesn't provide that safety, but has a massive amount of CC follow-up. Dredge line, depth charge, the slow from E, right? The root coming out from the W auto, right? It's just so much that if you lock somebody like the Vi down or the Thresh or the Sivir, right? God forbid she doesn't have her spell shield ready. I mean, they're just dead to rights here. And their dive is a little bit more instantaneous. It's a lot easier to react on, right? Once you see the depth charge, once that lands, Yone and Kai'Sa are going to be pressing the R button as quickly as possible. And they have the added effect with Dorado Sigma, where Viego, if he gets a kill, he can just start resetting across the map, and XG Lightning have to back off.
XG Lightning, Dorado Sigma now moving into the client draft phase here. I don't think we're going to see too much in the way of alterations, although once again, it looks like it's going to be Yone actually at least hovered into top lane. But the way that we lined up is that we have Nuffies mid right now, so grabbing the Cassante, it kind of means that we're probably going to be seeing what we saw in game number 1, where they eventually decide to swap. But, you know, Cassante mid, it's playable. Faker did it, and I think that paid off. I actually did not get to see that game.
Yeah, I think also in LCS, Gory did it for Golden Guardian. So Cassante mid's real. It's very real. It's not a dream. It's not fake. It's the stuff of nightmares. And honestly, it's surprising that in this nerfed state, right, Cassante, who's been patched and nerfed consistently, is still a viable mid lane, right? I can't imagine what would have happened if that release Cassante was played into the mid lane earlier on here. It's just now the tech has kind of been more prominent, right? You give him that short lane, you run the ghost TP, he has a lot of survivability, right? Has really good gank follow-up and setup, right? Depending on what kind of jungler you have. And so the Viego's going to love having this Cassante mid potentially, especially into the Ari. Even into these ranged matchups, he just does really, really well.
And so we already have a lot of variables coming into this game that we just didn't have established in game number 1. And as you're kind of alluding to, Shibby, I too feel that this is going to be far more competitive than we saw in the first match. A lot of the narratives from that game number 1 kind of cut back and actually were very demonstrably hurting XG Lightning. The fact that they had no damage to take down the Dr. Mundo in particular became a huge sticking point for them, especially as they started losing fights, right? Here, I think they have a far more competitive match. They are very much capable of taking 5v5s, and I think succeeding. Kai'Sa's in kind of an awkward spot here, I think, even though the laning phase made it make sense for them to pick it. Now, because of the dive identity on both sides, Kaisa's just kind of delivering herself, if she's not careful, right into the clutches of something like Cartana's Renekton. So those are pivots to watch out for. Overall, this could be XG Lightning's chance to take the very first game off of Dorado Sigma that we've seen in the entirety of the BOL Platinum division. But obviously, they are going to be hard pressed to do so, Shibby. We already saw Dorado Gaming Sigma make a statement in that first match, and they just want to continue to keep that momentum running here for a second game tonight. We're going to throw it to a quick break, guys. When we return, it's going to be back onto the Rift for game number 2.
I heard you all say I am a monster. But I don't care if you speak ill of me. Thank you for speaking ill of me behind my back. I am only becoming stronger and stronger, like the firefly shines in concrete.
Lift your spirit high. The road is full of roses. You smell of the divine, but they sold you just a story full of lies and some stuff are just meant to be. There's nothing wrong with the way you're acting. You want to change and he will set you free. Points his hands up high.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. It's XG Lightning facing off against Dorado Gaming Sigma for a battle of survival. Dorado Gaming Sigma, you know, they are in no danger of being knocked out of playoffs or anything like that, but they want to keep alive that 10-game win streak, now 11-game win streak after that last game. And Banger is getting run down a little bit here, but Griffin across the wall, trying to find a dredge line, gets it down on a prim, and look at the damage mounting on top of the Ari.
All
The
right.
flash was worth it, guys, but still, that is in fact a kill. And notably, is that Banger on Ari jungle, by the way? Oh no, never mind. It's Viego.
No.
I'm so dumb. I look to the side to remember like what team each player is on, and then I get confused. It's
Ari
it's
jungle.
rough. Yep. I kind of wish
I-
Ari jungle was a thing, man. Like it always
Keep-
feels like it's one of the mages that could clear with her Q, but I guess the cooldown just isn't there really.
You keep that evil out of the jungle right now, Nyarko. I don't want any mages in the jungle. I don't want any of that. Not Rumble was enough, okay?
Rumble was
Rumble
enough.
was enough. Morgana was enough. Brand, all these shenanigans. No. Keep them out of the jungle. Keep them mid lane. I don't want to see it.
I do agree on the Talia front at the very least. Talia should never have been a jungler. She should have been a support.
Yeah, well, now she's not even in this game because of what happened in game one here. But now, as we see the lane assignments coming in, Sluter is actually going to go into the mid lane. And it looks like XG Lightning are not going to match Rennie to the Yone here. They're just going to take the top lane. Or sorry, they're going to take the Cassante into the Renekton matchup, which is still not bad for Rennie early. But eventually, Cassante just outvalues you.
And this is what we wanted to see out of Dorado Gaming Sigma. XG Lightning still has the potential to rotate. It could just be on first back or something like that. For the time being, it's just a matter of trying to get a feel for your exact lane assignments. Griffin wants to push in onto Improvise, and that death sentence goes wide as a response. So there's no real follow-up there. XG Lightning just going to have to sit there, take it bot, and get pushed in.
Yeah, and then Griffin and Matt G did the no dodge. They literally just walked along the cliffside of bot lane here. Improvise thought that one of them would move to the right, try to dodge. Unfortunately, misses the hook there. But now, hooking the Nautilus, yeah, you get the flay onto him. You get some damage onto him. But Griffin can just walk up, chug some potions, and be ready. As now, Matt G is actually getting the shove onto Sivir here.
And because we're seeing such an interesting dynamic being formed bot side of the map, it's allowing for Banger on the Viego to invade. The problem is this may be another over-eager play by Red Side's jungler. Great Flay is going to pull the Viego back into the paws of Prim, who just gets the kill. And now Matt G's in a lot of trouble. Griffin's going to try to cover here, but with no flash available, the Nautilus also just has to back off because of the amount of poke coming down. I don't know, man. That's XG Lightning answering back against another crucial early mistake by the jungle of Dorado Gaming Sigma. Now look at this. Griffin's just dead.
He goes the greedy way. Griffin does not respect Improvise, and Juice Box could still be around that area here. And so he gets hooked, dies to the Vi here. And like you said, Banger's over aggression. Man, he would have loved to have Flash there instead of flashing for the kill onto the mid lane, but unfortunately dies here. Now, Kartna, I wanted to see him on a carry here. Is he going to be able to get the kill?
Yeah. Great slice and dice. Nuffies, they did the right thing moving into that bush, trying to play off of vision. They just need one more Ntofo strike or something like that, but they will not be able to find it. However, in the mid lane, Banger back on the rift, immediately going to rush down Prim. And yeah, exactly. Prim with the 0 sums has no answer back. The fact that Sluter gets that kill, I think, is very crucial for Dorado Gaming Sigma to remain competitive in this early game. This Yone really needs to pop off, especially if they have to face down what is now a 1-kill Renekton after a back.
And the Vi as well. Now Sluter, he's just gonna take a gauntlet to the face here. Nothing too much. FaZe are doing a job covering the mid laner, soaking up XP, taking some of that minions here. Yep. Prim is gonna miss a bit. Died twice, unfortunately, in that early game. Sluter and Banger, though, despite being set back, despite the early deaths, I feel like Banger just only knows one direction, and it's go.
And it's towards the enemy side of the map as well. Yeah, another deep invade. These are paying off, though. Viego has a lot of unfarmed camps that they can bounce right back to. And honestly, I wanted to see Phoenix Flare on the map a little bit more.
Kartna has flash.
Because, yeah, you're immediately able to turn this right back into an attempted gank topside of the map. Although mid lane, we also have some action. Griffin is going to roam up here. Sluter takes quite a bit of damage, even in that soul unbound form. Just has to slide right back towards safety. But that doesn't mean that Griffin can't find anything on this roam initially. Now, Nuffies, level 5, doesn't quite have their all-out available, so they're just going to have to go for the raw duel once again. Good knockback off of the third stack, and then Ntofo strikes. The question is, are we just going to see a replay of what happened last time? As you're saying, the rage bar is mounting, and Nuffies is starting to lose this trade. They're just going to get soloed again, especially off of that flash.
Rough game for Nuffies here. He wants to take the tank into the Renekton, and I wanted to see Kartna on something that can carry a bit more. As Kartna pops the Dominus as well. I don't know if he's doing it for the AD bonus so they can hit the turret plate down, but that's really smart from Kartna. I like that he popped that ulti there.
Dorado Gaming Sigma looking a little bit rougher coming out of what is a far more favorable laning phase versus XG Lightning than we were expecting Blue Squad to get here. And now it could get even better as Mad G is getting hit by the full combo. A lot of damage. The Ignite also dropped. The Kai'Sa is just going to have to cower under that tier 1 tower. Griffin is here, but they've come back to a AD carry far less healthy than when they left him. Look at this. Even with the bouncing blades and whatnot, I think that Juice Box is basically going to fully control the tempo of this game, and maybe this is going to be XG Lightning setting up for First Dragon.
Phoenix Flare is here as well. Even if Griffin goes in, Matchy cannot even think of following up. He just has too much of a health deficit right now, and I think they're just waiting.
Oh, and there's a flash into Flay. Improvise trying to find what they can, but unfortunately, that's a lot. You haven't traded right back. And now Banger's gonna wrap in. Griffin can look for the re-engage off of another dredge line. It is a 3v3. Make that almost a 4v3 as Sluter's also coming into the area. However, Matchy has to back off. Fate Sealed lands though. Banger gets 1 kill, steals the Thresh body, and the death sentence gets them the double.
Oh, he wants to take over that other body. He wants to possess it, but I think he's going to be in turret range. No ultimate available. Now the pings are headed towards the dragon. What was a pretty good trap from XG Lightning gets absolutely turned around on its head as Dorado Sigma just say, you know what? We can just bring more people down and win the fight.
Wow, is that heckin' Thresh jungle over there, Shibby? I'm so excited for that to come to the Rift.
Yeah, Thresh jungle coming in. Banger gets rid of the body, disposes of it cleanly, no fingerprints at all. And actually, the pings towards the dragon, they aren't going to take it, as now Kartna is going to be able to come up here. He's just been bullying Nuffies out.
And this is a good call, you know, snowball the winning lane. Kartna is going to be immensely powerful, especially because we talked about the weakness of the Kai'Sa pick during that draft phase, right? If they dive in with their killer instinct and they're just immediately shredded by a Renekton, that's a free kill delivered over to XG Lightning and a core source of damage taken away from Dorado Gaming Sigma. So I do believe that this is the correct way for XG Lightning to approach this game, especially now that bot lane is looking a little bit rougher. We're even seeing a full split of the map. It's going to be XG Lightning just rushing with that priority that Kartana has to go grab the Rift Herald as a response to this Hextech Drake being taken down by Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, Kartana in the top lane here, just putting in work on the Rennie. They trade the objectives, Dragon for Herald. I think if you're XG Lightning, you'll take that every single time here. That gold potentially being funneled in onto the Rennie would be really nice.
And I'm interested to see where we see a set up next. It's probably going to be XG Lightning getting something near this red buff. Nuffies, no, buddy. Why'd you want to face check it? They're going to get hooked. They're going to be shook. Banger may try to find something on the back end of this one, but now they're left alone in a 1v3. No flash available. They just have to Heartbreaker to safety. Their micro dash will also be able to find them a little bit of space. Kartana may be looking for a dive. Griffin comes forward, and now that Renekton doesn't have the dominance available, is only at about half health. We could see a reclapse if Sluder has the confidence to go for it.
Prim did go down in that mid lane while all that was happening earlier, so a 1-for-1 kind of overall. Nuffies does face check into the red buff, gets taken out, but overall the gold lead is pretty non-existent, right? It's been kept even between these teams. I said we would see a more competitive game too, but just having the gold dead even between these teams, running similar compositions, it's going to come down to one execution error from either of these teams, and that's what's going to swing the favor. We haven't seen a really big objective team fight yet. We haven't really seen these guys bump uglies 5v5 yet, and when that happens, that's when the game gets blown wide open.
And that's the kind of part of the game that I'm a little bit worried for XG Lightning on, because it's the part that we haven't seen them pop off in. I think that they had a relatively decent laning phase in game number 1. Sure, they gave over a bunch of free kills, but they had a bunch of free kills returned to them as kind by Dorado Gaming Sigma. The problem is we never saw a winning team fight from XG Lightning, and we haven't really seen one from them here in game number 2 either, just by virtue of none of them occurring yet. Matt G's probably getting picked and killed. Flash from the Kaisa burn. They will get to safety, but another crucial summoner spell gone. And honestly, it feels like every single time that Griffin has roamed this game, the Kaisa has been so heavily pressured. Now they just have to keep sidestepping these death sentences under the tower.
Oh, as the Lantern does come in, Sluder has been doing a good job pressuring on the roams here, kind of out-roaming Prim across the map. And I like that in Dorado's favor. The game is, the gold, sorry, is a little bit more evenly distributed, right? You have Viega with 2 kills, you got Yone with 2 kills, the Kaisa and Sivir are pretty much matching up even for even. While as you look on the other side, XG Lightning, Kartana is really the only one who has a huge gold lead, right? Who has a lot of power, right? Has his mythic unlocked before the 12 minutes when we see it. You also got Black Cleaver on the Vi here. Phoenix Flare matching Banger at the moment. Cleaver for Cleaver here. So right now, can Kartana win this team fight before it even starts? Can he get diving onto the backline? Or are Banger and Sluder just going to combo up and get the resets going? Really, that's going to be the name of the game for both of these teams.
And this is my concern with the fact that Kartana did not rotate to try to match the Yone, because now it's the tale of 2 carries, and Yone is obviously scaled immaculately, especially in comparison with the Renekton. So even if XG Lightning do begin to win a few of these early team fights off the back of a crucial ready pick or something like that, we could easily see this game turned around, because that's already 2-0-3 on a champion that has been known to solo carry games in the past. So I want to keep that variable in mind moving deeper on into this matchup. Hopefully we will see a team fight around something like the second dragon of the game in about a minute here, but first we gotta pause, look what's happening mid lane. That's already fate sealed used. Banger maybe want to go for the re-engage. It's a little bit scared of doing so, though. We'll W the other way.
Ult for ult trade in the mid lane here. Ari is gonna have the rest. Now the attention to the bot lane. The Rift Herald gets popped. Marge gets hit.
Yeah, and I think Matt G is just going to be taken down, although Phoenix Flare does have to flash back. They were under the tower aggro because of a well-placed dredge line by Griffin. Now, that sentence also going down onto the Nautilus means that this is going to be a relatively stable fight. Kartana having to deal with a ton topside of the map, but Matt G and company have to be careful pushing back up again. They're waiting in this bush now, and the Kaisa doesn't seem the wiser to it. There's the ultimate. The cease and desist comes down, and yeah, Juicebox gonna pick that one up. Griffin all alone under a dying turret.
A 3-man for 3-man, but looks like XG Lightning's just works a little bit better here. Now Juicebox and Improvise. Griffin is a tanky boy. He's a beefy guy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they try to hook back in, get a bit more aggro onto Juicebox and company. No actual damage really comes through to follow up on that hook, but it does kind of signal at XG Lightning that perhaps they shouldn't take this fight. I think they'd probably lose at least one more to take down the Nautilus, even without any of those summoner spells available. That being said, a little bit of gold flowing over to Juicebox means that now this is an AD carry that can also really threaten this mid game. They're up versus the Kaisa for sure, and that means full concentration is going to be had towards Banger and Sluter for them to make a statement around this Mountain Drake that has spawned up.
And I like how Dorado is taking advantage of the back timings for bot lane. Nuffy's roamed. You have Viego or Banger coming down. This drag is going to be taken even before XG Lightning can respond because of that increased and prolonged aggression in that bot lane. And now Sluter is just looking to zone right now. Wait, are they going to be able to get the dragon actually?
Yeah, nobody's been helping the Viego take this down. Look at it, 1,700 health. The Banger just has to back off. And I don't think that we're going to see a re-engage. Dorado Gaming Signa just going to respect this play, I think. And, well, Nuffy's definitely toying with fire a bit. Sluter's looking for the flame. Flashes in with the Fade Seal, but it's taken low already. Just has to back off with the going down. Magi does manage to kill the Thresh. Nuffy's activates the all-out onto Phoenix Fire. But look at how strong Kartana is. Just jumping into the melee, using that dominance to stay alive. They tear through Dorado Gaming Sigma. Banger trying to do all they can with the Renekton body, looking for the resets, but that's a double-double for Juicebox, and Nuffy's doesn't have the range to contend with Prim. That is going to be a near ace, and SG Lightning come out totally ahead.
A head scratcher of a play for Dorado. They let Banger solo down the dragon. If they just brought Sluter, if they just brought Mad G, if they brought Nuffy's there to help, the dragon would have been theirs. On top of that, they lose the dragon and they go for a very opportunistic fight. Sluter misses the Fate Seal, doesn't get the knockup, and they still end up pushing forward. Yeah, they took down the improvised. Yeah, they took down Phoenix Flare, but like you mentioned, Kartana, Juicebox, and Prim, the carries of XG Lightning are still alive, and they just clean up the fight.
And it's so unfortunate. Dorado Gaming Sigma, I think they were really banking on that kind of play to get them back into this game, but now they are behind about 1,500 gold, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I always talk about gold concentration alongside that in Chibi. Basically, all of this now resides in Kartana, and that is providing such a huge ramp for Juicebox to also get very, very relevant now. They themselves are up about 1,500 gold versus Matt G.
Yeah, Matt G and Juicebox were roughly even in items before that fight, right? Kraken Slayer for Kraken Slayer. I believe he had the Berserker Greaves to the double longsword of Matt G, but now he's got a BF sword in hand. Now he's ramping up, like you said, with those extra kills. And Sluter, even with this kill lead, even with this lane lead, he's unable to use this Yone to its full potential. And you see that this massive quad AD composition without the lack of burst, without any burst for the Banger here on the Viego, he can't get resetting fast enough before Kartana, Prim, and Juicebox just run the rest of the team down.
And Griffin is just done, all boxed up.
Griffin's
Juicebox goes on a rampage. And you really have to ask, yeah, Dorado Gaming Sigma certainly is staying competitive in this game, but where is their gold actually lying right now? You look everywhere, and it's just the case that Sluter's not going to be able to answer back against either the Renekton or the Sivir anymore, and they're probably the most fed member of DGS. So, yeah, with that in mind, it's going to take a while before I think they become relevant again in this game. And while they roll over, XG Lightning are able to get so many valuable picks. Look at this. They're just waiting in bush once more with massive vision control in their favor. They're just going to index this towards the bot side of the map rather than going for a pick down onto Banger. And this means that Sluter's now in a ton of trouble. They get back off their soul inbound form, but they don't actually sense the fact that there's two members coming their way. Now, it looks like they're just going to have to try to force a fight down onto Prim. They will be able to do so. Banger actually gets that kill. Is gonna steal the body, tries to go for the reset, but eventually because Kartana is here, they just have to Heartbreaker towards the river, and even then they cannot get out alive. Juicebox with another one.
A 1-for-1 overall. Yes, you get Prim, but you put another kill onto the Sivir here, and the rest of XG Lightning are just playing the map really, really well. They've just got numbers advantage upon numbers advantage every single time. Anytime Dorado looks to make a play, they are just getting outnumbered, out-ability to out-diff. Kartana doing a massive carry performance right now on the Rennie. That's what we wanted to see, and I knew he had it in him.
fact that he's just going to be able to walk back topside and repel Nuffies from getting a tier 1 tower over to Dorado Gaming Sigma is just going to widen the deficit between these two teams. Now, I think even coming right off of a play, they could go for another fight. Not really a whole lot in the way of rage stacks, but Dominus is available. And therefore, Nuffies has to really respect the Croc once more. They're down 2 levels.
I like how our brain cells both synced up at the same time. We're like, Dominus is up. I don't know if you want this, Nuffies. Unfortunately, the all out isn't going to be able to do enough as Kartna maybe have just delayed his back a little bit here. And now we have the dragon coming up. It is Cloud Soul, so I'm not too intimidated. I feel like Dorado or XG Lightning are both comfortable giving those objectives away. But if I'm XG Lightning, I'm going to use this objective to start a fight, to bait Dorado into a fight so that I can end the game or potentially even lock up Baron pretty soon.
That being said, Dorado Gaming Sigma probably have learned their lesson given what happened around that last Drake. Banger just had no support, so they were trying to take it down solo, was repelled, yet still Sluter and Nuffies tried to force a fight, and we saw what happened from there, right? This time around, I think XG Lightning are going to get this relatively for free. We see them all stacked up deep in enemy territory looking for a pick, but Dorado Gaming Sigma, so respectable. In fact, they're just going to see the entire bot side jungle as well.
They know something's up because you saw Sluter with his you know, his ability to go into. I'm blanking out on the name of his dash or whatever. He was able to, that ability right there. I'm so sorry, Nyarko.
I mean, Sluter zooms in with the Soul Unbound, trying to go for the steal.
Oh my god.
They just managed to poke and leash Phoenix Flare just a little bit, though. You know what I really would have wanted to see? I really wanted to see Phoenix Flare press cease and desist on Sluter and just ride it like 20 football fields away over the wall, yeah.
Soul Unbound. Yeah, he used the Soul Unbound to actually check for that dragon earlier on. Saw nobody there, so they definitely knew someone was up in their bushes. As now, that gold lead still has roughly remained around the 3,000 mark. But Banger, Sluter, and Nuffies, they're just catching waves right now. Getting some gold onto some of their carries here and just kind of propelling that micro gold lead that they have onto some of these individual players, and maybe looking eventually they'll be comfortable to take a team fight. Matt G at the moment is severely behind Juicebox, so he needs to catch waves, he needs to farm the jungle, he needs to get to a point where he can contend and do damage similar to what Juicebox is doing with this IE Kraken Slayer Sivir, who has now picked up a Zeal as well.
Juicebox is everything for XG Lightning at this point in time. Kartana has done their job early. They secured some early fights, and now they are going to work as fuel. They will teleport in. This is going to be for everything. It looks like Sluter just has to use their ultimate to get out. It's already Juicebox gone from Dorado Gaming Sigma. Here comes Kartana, but they're being whittled quite low. Juicebox does manage to kill Griffin, but Matt G follows up and kills the Croc. Now Improvise is dead. Juicebox on the far side of this one, though, is just melting through the team. The question is, can they get to safety? They're playing within a choke point, but Matt G and Banger are too afraid to walk up. And so therefore, this fight's going to end in a stalemate at 3-4-3, and it might actually turn back in favor of XG Lightning, but Matt G uses the flash, gets to safety, Banger's gonna appeal, and now can the Viego get out inside of the Black Mist?
Juicebox looking like a bodybuilder, taking trend, clan, and everything. This guy's juiced up, Nyarko. He kites and kites and kites and kites and single-handedly wins the fight for XG Lightning.
I don't know if that was a win, though. Look at the play at the end of the day, right? That's gold funneled over to Matt G. The gold lead's actually been reduced down to only about 2,000, and that's not a Baron claim or anything like that. Yeah.
That's a 7-0 Sivir, Nyarko.
All right, I mean, I'll take that point. I'll take that point, man. I'll take that point, but I don't know. I think Dorado Gaming Sigma, they know who the strong player is. I think that we're going to see continued focus their way. Imagine if Sluter didn't go early there, right? Imagine if they had the Fate Shield available. That would have been a spell shield popped early from Juicebox at the very least, plus quite a bit of damage. This is still looking dicey. XG Lightning are not out of the woods yet. I may be sounding a little bit pessimistic here, but I've seen games flip on a dime. 2,000 gold is absolutely nothing between teams like this.
Yeah, I think one thing to note as well is Prim was late to that fight. The fight was practically over by the time he got in there. So I don't know if that's a raw 5v5. Sluter, like you said, can't afford to use the ultimate in a defensive way. He can't use it to get out. He has to get the knockup. He has to get the damage, and he has to get it onto somebody like Juicebox, like Prim. If he uses it on Phoenix Flare or Improvise, that's a win in XG Lightning's eyes. That's a crucial ultimate, a crucial high damage ability not being used on your carries, and you have no follow-up with Banger. You have no follow-up with Nuffies. Sluter needs to be on point with his ultimate usage and set up Banger for these resets.
XG Lightning, though, they feel that they still have the advantage, so they are going to look for at least vision control over Baron, if not the Baron itself, which I think, given the way that Kai'Sa's been catching up to Juicebox, is the right call. As it currently stands, we have a 3 versus 2 item AD carry, and this is your time to make the most of your power spike, right? The Sivir is nigh unstoppable. I can see you trying to force this objective. That's where the real gold lead is going to widen. Nuffy's already in trouble. Just wants some vision inside the pit, and now they're getting picked. They will be able to just pathmaker their way to safety. Sluter once again wrapping around from the tri-bush is just going to repel off Blue Squad for the time being. Both of these teams are playing with fire, and we're seeing how close these engages are possible.
And Nuffies did have to use the all-out on Cassante. It's absolutely impossible to pick him off, really, unless you burn everything and the kitchen sink onto him. Is now using that back time and
no, God damn it, no! Don't do it! No, Dorado Gaming, don't do it! I can't take a 5th week in a row! Please, just walk away! Oh, God! Jimmy, we're gonna see a Baron throw. I can feel it in my bones. Matchy ults in on the Phoenix Flare. The Vino on the far side is gonna activate their cease and desist. The problem is, that's how the jungler got from XG Lightning. However, Juicebox has already killed Griffin, and now attention is turned back towards the big purple worm. Sluter, Banger, trying to do all that they can, but they don't have Matchy with them. And yet again, Shimmy, the BOL never fails to disappoint. That's gonna be Baron over to XG Lightning.
What was the Baron start? Is now Sluter looking to get the kill? Does he steal it? No, he doesn't. He gets ignited on the way out.
He's dead. I hate this game.
Blue Otter League Platinum, baby. It wouldn't be a Baron throw. It wouldn't be a dragon. It wouldn't be anything. We need to see it day in and day out, week in and week out in the Arco. Dorado going with the Hail Mary Baron. They couldn't even burst down Phoenix Flare. They got him eventually, but after that, it was too little too late. Matt G went down, Griffin went down, Nuffies was zoned out of the fight, and what was a 2,000 gold lead for XG Lighting, what was manageable for Dorado, has now ballooned into 6,000.
I think I'm just cursed, man. Like, what? Why did Dorado Gaming Sigma think they could take that? I don't understand.
They didn't. They didn't know. No, they didn't know. Dorado thought they were, you know, invulnerable to the Baron throw. They are undefeated. They haven't lost a game, like you said. They said, you know what, we can do this. They won't stop us. They won't match us. They won't even come and contest us. Wait a minute. Only Improvise back. The rest of the members, all the damage dealers from XG Lightning were there ready to contest. And unfortunately, Dorado had a different game plan. They split, right? They went on to Phoenix Flare, and they were still DPSing the Baron. They didn't know what they wanted to do. And unfortunately, that chaos allowed XG Lightning to kind of pick up the Baron, pick up the Dragon, and now Nuffies is relegated to split pushing. Now Dorado Gaming Sigma has to play on the back foot here.
And unfortunately, Dorado Gaming Sigma is profoundly disadvantaged playing on the back foot because the snowball potential from the Sivir is just so palpable at this point in time. XG Lightning able to push wherever they so desire because they have so many offensive threats at this point in time. Right now, they're just trying to four-man the top side of the map. It's Nuffies splitting with the teleport available, so they will be able to relocate for a fight, while Prim isn't necessarily going to have the same option. But I'm worried that still a 4v5 could go in favor of XG. Juicebox is punching for 2 right now, and I mean, with this tower going down, that's going to be a big source of defense from Dorado Gaming Sigma. Already broken. This inhibitor is also going to fall. Let's see what more XG Lightning can go for.
They want to take this 4v4, but Nuffies is super strong right now. As long as Prim keeps him in check, keeps him in lane, as now the 1v1 does start happening.
All right. Well, Nuffies is going to take quite a bit of punishment from the Baroned Up
He's
minions,
going hard.
actually. May actually be dead. Decisive Tofo Strike, use the all out, but with those resistances now self-shredded, Prim is just happy to take the fight, use this in Orbit Obsession and a few autos. They just get the kill. Banger wraps around, though. I think they will be able to return one right back with the Heartbreaker. Unfortunately, they're leaving their base very vulnerable.
Yeah, they take top inhib, they take mid inhib. With all that pressure that Prim was able to create, they cause a 4v3 in the mid lane. And yeah, there's nothing that Dorado can do, right? They just have to watch as their base gets, blown to shreds here as Baron and Dragon are still down for another 2.5 minutes. So there's not too many objectives more that XG Lightning can take. They're going to work their way down to that bot lane. Baron is gone from them, but they can still push. They've got waves of supers in the top, waves of super in the mid. They just have to pressure that bot lane. Their siege is still pretty good as there's really no wave clear from Dorado.
Yeah, certainly. Dorado Gaming Sigma are just going to have to sit there inside of their base, see over more neutral objectives. They have to count their lucky stars that is going to just be a Cloud Soul, but still, Soul is Soul. That is going to accelerate the timeline of the game massively as well. XG Lightning will be looking down an Elder Dragon, but honestly, they might not even need it, Chibi. The Baron is going to be back up in 2 minutes. They're going to get down with basically no contestation unless Dorado Gaming Sigma just want the game over. Not in their favor, by the way. So also, we could just be seeing a pick here. Never mind, Griffin and Nuffies were way too far forward, and already the Nautilus is dead. Nuffies has activated the all-out. They're trying to kill Ari, but unfortunately, they're unable to even do that because of the sheer shredding power of Juicebox. A triple kill has been picked up for the Sivir now. Matchy forced all the way into the bot side river as the rest of XG Lightning just thunder down into the mid lane. It looks like Kartana will be ushering these minions in towards the Nexus turrets, and I don't see this game going much longer, if at all, Shibby.
No, Sluter, last man standing here, getting chased down by Kartana. We wanted to see him on a carry. We wanted to see him on the big bad Rennie, and we get it here with Juicebox in tow. These two individuals, they give Dorado Gaming Sigma their first game loss of the season, and they're looking to potentially take the series to a game 3 now.
And I think that this is such a good look from XG Lightning that I will say there's a chance that this goes in their favor now. They look so clean now that they've gotten their draft sorted out, Shibby. And Dorado Gaming Sigma simply did not have an answer for a lot of the strong points that Blue Squad's team had packing. So I'm a little bit worried for their chances now. Once they fell behind, it just felt like they didn't have a clue from how to play in that situation.
It's not that they necessarily didn't have a clue. It's just that one decision, right? That one team fight around that Baron. They decided to go for broke. They felt like they were super far behind, even though the fights were going even, right? You had your win condition. It was predicated on Banger resetting and just destroying the rest of the map. Unfortunately, none of these dive heroes could actually jump onto Juicebox. More often than not, this individual just lived, right? The depth charge, the fate unsealed, right? You had the all out. You also had the Viego coming at you. Despite every single ability being thrown at Juicebox, this guy comes out unscathed, right? He's 12-0-6 on the scoreline. He didn't die once. He's got a perfect game right now. And so if you can't do that on against a Sivir, who realistically is a short-ranged ADC with one maneuver to kind of remove all the CC, right? Has a spell shield. As long as you are taking account for that flash, you should be able to take this person down with the champions you have. The Viego, the Cassante, the Yone, they just were not in sync. They're engaged the fights. They didn't feel like they were on the same page. As we saw Sluter fate unsealing out, we saw Viego and Cassante going in. It was just a very disjointed team, unfortunately. And with that, Kartana and Juicebox ended up just hard carrying the game.
All right, well, clearly Dorado Gaming Sigma is far more vulnerable than I think either of us expected, Shibby. We now are going to be on the Rift at least one more, well, only one more time. I forgot this is just a best of 3. So with that in mind, we're going to throw it to a quick break. But what an honor it is to be here to watch the downfall of the gods in a way. So happy to do it with you. And yeah, they certainly bleed. We'll see just how far that goes here, though, for a third game. We'll be right back.
best. My crew the best.
I wish you stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts. I wish you stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you change. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get my feels when I want you. See you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the final. But if I'm honest, I get my feels when I want you. See you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the final. But if I'm But if I'm But if I'm I'm moving off for good. At least my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. Try but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get my feels when I'm
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League. It is quite a shakeup of the Platinum division that we're currently experiencing, Shibby. Dorado Gaming Sigma just dropped their very first game of the season 5 weeks in versus XG Lightning. I'm super excited to see now, can this be a full series drop from our frontrunner?
XG Lightning definitely have the momentum. I saw somebody in chat say Lightning is going to strike twice, so they believe it, right? They think they're going to get the 2-1 over Dorado Sigma. It would definitely tip the scales of power here, right? Because I think Dorado Sigma was kind of seen as this like gigantic, powerful enemy at the top of the mountain, the boss at the end game. But if XG Lightning can expose potentially some weaknesses of Dorado Sigma, specifically in that top lane or even that bot lane, right? Where they were able to get massive leads, that can then open up strategies to say, okay, you know what? We're gonna pick on Dorado Sigma's top lane, or we're gonna get a winning bot lane matchup, right? We're gonna bait them into picking the Nautilus or whatever they want, and just take the counter matchup here. Is now the Annie going to be first banned from Dorado Sigma here. It was banned in the second rotation. Vi as well, they've indexed as like, hey, that's the problem. We don't want to see that again. A lot of good lockdown. And they also banned the Xayah on blue side, interestingly enough. Surprised that they didn't force XG Lightning to ban it away, specifically because they're on red side here. But they have to have something cooking. Are they just going to take the Jinx like they did previously in game 1?
Jinx looked great for Matt G, and I gotta say, even with that point in time where they got 3 kills on the Kai'Sa, it just was unable to answer back against all of the momentum that Juicebox built. So I do believe that that's a better angle for the bot lane of Dorado Sigma, but they're gonna first pick for that jungle instead. The Sejuani coming out for Banger. I actually really like this for this guy because in the past, Banger has been struggling a little bit with over-aggression. Sejuani is inherently so tanky and has a lot of escape tools with the Arctic Assault built into her kit that I do believe that this can cut back against some of their worst impulses, while still allowing for them to go for some of the uber aggressive tower dives and ganks that we've seen them set up for in game number 1 especially.
Ooh, and there it is. I think the de facto #1 jungler right now in League of Legends is Jarvan. Super strong, consistently banned across regions. You see it in solo queue. Has a lot of good lockdown potential. Is actually very good into the AD carries that are getting picked at the moment, right? The Jinx, the Caitlyn, right? Some of these more immobile supports that we've seen, like the Ashe, the Varus, all these kind of champions. Jarvan just is a really good locking these individuals down, as we do see the MF being locked in alongside with it. So XG Lightning, they've thrown the gauntlet down, right? They said, you know what we want to do. We're going to Cataclysm. We're going to Bullet Rate. We're going to Bullet Storm. We're going to just go R+R, and the rest of your team is going to get wiped down here. XG Lightning, I like that they're just drafting a very synergistic composition and playing for the 5v5, as Dorado Sigma says, you know what, if the Jinx is untaken, if you're going to leave that up for my boy, I'm going to give it to him. Never mind, they're going to lock in the Zeri. Psych!
I think that Zeri, especially after being taken down a peg with those nerfs, probably isn't as viable, especially because we've seen such immaculate comfort out of Matt G on the Jinx. I don't know why we just don't get a return towards that AD carry, but Zeri it will be, and we'll see how Griffin is going to play alongside it. Most likely it's going to be a support selection here for Dorado Sigma to round out the first pick phase. But the thing is, I kind of want an enchanter now, especially given that you have a lot more tankiness there in the jungle role. And, we will have to hold off to see whether or not Griffin is going to go back towards the Nautilus, or if they want to grab themselves an enchanter or something of the like, because right now, that's just going to be a LeBlanc for Nuffies or Sluter.
Yeah, Dorado Sigma here. I don't love the pick. Usually when I see the Sejuani, I like to see it paired up, if it is going into the jungle, with those double melee solo lanes, something like a Silas mid with a Rennie top, or just anything that is more melee centric. Obviously, the mid lane has a little bit more nuance to it and how many melee champions are actually available. But I think Silas being up, especially when you see the Misfortune and the Jarvan, it's a very strong pick, as they are just going to take the counter picks over from LeBlanc away, right? Vex being removed. We might potentially see a Jace ban or even an Ahri ban here that actually Lightning has been so willingly allowed to play, right? Prim, I believe, was on the Ahri 2 games in a row now.
I think that it was Sluter on the first game, but there was an Ahri in both games.
Oh, yeah. There was an Ahri in both games. Actually, Lightning trending towards that. They like the mobility. They like the fact that they can kind of flex it anywhere they want, even between their own players here. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Dorado's going to take that away and force XG Lightning onto something. Force them onto a skill matchup here. Is the Gwen and Braum now being taken away, trying to dissuade some of that anti-dive here from Dorado Sigma here. But like you said, I think they're just going to take an enchanter with it. Lulu's still up. Yeah, the Yumi's banned. You've also got Soraka, who just played in the LCS, still up at the moment, right? May not do insanely well into the Rel and Misfortune, but you just have a lot of survivability. As the Tristana is also being locked in. Ooh. That's a Tristana mid. XG Lightning, double 80 carry composition with lockdown with the Jarvan and the Rel. I mean, that's just going to prove really deadly to Dorado.
This is a psychotic amount of dime coming out from XG Lightning. That Rel pick as well, I think, is going to just kind of redouble the fact that they are trying to hit the backline and nothing else. But Dorado Sigma doing what I was going to recommend XG Lightning does, and at least hover the Malphite. You need a source of AP for both sides. But they switch right off of what I think is one of the most powerful champions of the game right now to go for a Set, who recently in one of my matches just went 3-14, so I'm not happy to see his face here. I think this is like better for Dorado Sigma than it would be for XG Lightning to pick up, because you already have the LeBlanc as a source of AP burst, but now you're leaving up that champion for XG, and I don't like that at all. Nor do I like the Soraka hover. I would much prefer a Lulu or a Karma here to shore up the Zeri, because otherwise they're going to be suffering mightily versus the Rel. Renata Glask is another good choice. I'm glad that that's what they're eventually going to lock in. But now XG Lightning, they have reserved that counter pick potential for Kartana, as you were hoping for, Shibby. And now we get to see what
they could go Rennie. They could go Rennie and absolutely
AD,
deny that big shield. Riven as well. Like you mentioned, full AD. I don't even think they're worried. XG Lightning, they don't even care. They might run that AP top laner. Fiora being hovered as well. Akali now. Gragas.
Please, Gragas.
And away in both games is afforded XG Lightning's top laner Kartana with that pick here. And you've also got magic damage coming out from the Misfortune, right? You can still build the Leandry's Mythic if you want. You don't have to fully index into like lethality or AD carry, because you have that Tristana. You're allowed that item flexibility that Misfortune just gives you. So Dorado Sigma, they've got a little bit of everything. I like the Set Sejuani synergy, but into Gragas, I've said it time and time again, Yarko. Gragas is just the Malzahar of top lane. He doesn't die. He's really tanky. He's not going to kill you. You're not going to kill him. And he's going to come into fights and just be a nuisance.
I certainly think that Gragas is another top contender. I'm still like vaguely driven to say that Malphite would be better given the composition that XG Lightning has, but it's good to, have kind of a contingency plan. If Dorado Sigma is able to push through your dive and start ganging up on the team, it's always good to scatter everybody about with an explosive cask, and you can still use that for great poke potential. Body Slam similarly can also allow for Gragas to join the fray, so it's definitely flexible, and I think definitely valuable that we have Kartana on another champion that has the ability to carry, although this time around I think XG Lightning is shouldering that burden around a lot more of their team than we saw in game number 2.
I mean, they're just putting it onto the mid and ADC, right? They're saying, hey, we've drafted you a composition that has lockdown, it has CC. Oh, by the way, you've also got Peel with Kartana, right? With the Gragas, like you said, the cast, the body slam. This is the moment where XG Lightning's mid lane and AD carry need to shine here. They are putting that burden of carrying onto themselves here. XG Lightning, they picked themselves a really proactive early game jungler to kind of match this Sejuani pressure as well. Dorado Sigma, I think their jungler has been playing a little bit better overall, at least in the early game, has been able to blow flashes, obviously get kills, right? I think he's been getting the upper hand on XG Lightning's jungler, but that can change with this Jarvan pick, right? You have so much variability in how he can gank, right? You can do a 2 camp into mid gank, you could do a 1 camp into bottom lane, you could do a 3 camp into top. There's so many different routes and timings that Jarvan can take advantage of that Dorado Sigma, they just can't play around everything.
I would love to see a level 2 Jarvan gank bot side of the map, because I really do think that right now the line in the sand is very clearly drawn. XG Lightning has one burden, and if they manage to fulfill it, they're winning this series, Shibby. Can they kill the Zeri? Can they ensure that Renata's ult is disrupted and they really cannot get a good hostile takeover off? Because once those things happen, I think the pieces fall into place for Red Squad quite nicely. I think that their draft has a lot of... What? Sluter, man.
Well,
that is just client draft picking Tarek as a joke, and now they got to dodge. It was funny when everyone was hovering the Tarek for sure. It's not as funny when now you're disrupting the whole flow of the game, man.
The client is glitched out, guys. We've got confirmation. Unfortunately, we probably will throw it to an extended break after we kind of talk about this because of the way it went. But I like how you mentioned kind of, you know, the Renata value that they have, right? The hostile takeover. If it lands onto the Shana and Misfortune, could absolutely shred through XG Lightning's composition. You've also got a lot of good counter engage, right? Jarvan comes in. If the Rel wants to come in, you could use that handshake to just fling them back and say, no, you're not allowed to engage onto my Zeri. I want to see how Dorado Sigma's AD carry is going to position during these fights, how well they're going to use kind of their ability usage right after they pop the R, if they're going to be moving and grooving, because this composition from Dorado Sigma, it's very, very slippery. And so if XG Lightning kind of mess up the engage, if they overcommit, if they over-aggress, they could get a lot of cooldowns blown, and Dorado Sigma can just seemingly get it for nothing, right? A distortion, a hop over the wall, a Q from the Sejuani, right? God forbid you're engaging onto the set, and he just hits you with a huge 2 damage haymaker. There's a lot of value that Dorado Sigma can gain from just baiting out XG Lightning's abilities and then taking the fight afterwards, right? XG Lightning pretty much only have 1 shot. After that, if it doesn't kill, if it misses, Dorado Sigma can just be there with the counterpunch and the haymaker ready to go.
And Dorado Gaming Sigma has a surprising amount of escape. Obviously, LeBlanc is an incredibly slippery champion, but Zarya also has the wall ride available. And so if they sense that Jarvan gank is coming relatively early on, they're able to reposition in a flash. Sejuani, as I said before, also is going to shore up Banger's weaknesses. They have the Arctic Assault available. They have the ability to get over walls into safety. Renata also going to provide great peel. Set is set. They just become immaculately tanky for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So if XG Lightning overcommit, they could easily blow a lot of resources. Dorado Gaming Sigma will just come out better on the back end of that one, look for a re-engage, and boom, we have a true game on our hands, and one that Dorado Sigma very much could be favored in. But as it currently stands, I like the fact that XG Lightning, they're looking for 1 level of execution, and that's about it, because when you're up against a team as strong as Sigma can be, I think that it is very clear that you need to cut back on as much variability as possible. Bring a very clear execution-oriented team composition to the table. From there, just look to make sure your macros immaculate, that your laning is super well played, and from there, that is how you're going to be able to take down a giant like Dorado Gaming.
I think it's also important to note just kind of where the setup is for Dorado, right? They're not going to have a really strong bot lane, right? Their mid lane isn't, depending on how the matchup goes, Shashan's going to have a lot of early lane pressure unless LeBlanc can kind of burst them out. So I'm looking towards these heralds. I'm looking towards this top lane with the set Sejuani to really get things going in the early game, right? To really pressure Kartana out here. Even if he is on the Gragas, getting that lane control, getting that lane dominance allows you to pick up the heralds, allows you to transfer that pressure into mid lane. And eventually, if you can move somebody like Sluter to these dragon fights because he's so far ahead, that'll give you the advantage and the initiative to say, hey, you know what, even though our bot lane might be in a losing or our mid lane might be losing, we just have the numbers advantage because we just focused that top lane down. And I think leaving Cartana to his own devices against Sluter, we've seen what happens, right? He did it in the tank v tank matchup. He did it in the carry v tank matchup. And now he's tank versus carry. He's played every single facet of the matchup here. And I guarantee you he's going to solo kill Sluter if he doesn't get any help here.
Well, I'm going to correct you a little bit here, Shibby. We've seen what happens versus Nuffies. Sluter is a whole different player, though. Flipping back over to the top side of the map, Nuffies is going to be the one on the block, and maybe that means that this is going to be a tougher call for XG Lightning to actually dominate through that side. I do believe that Sluter has been performing quite nicely in the mid lane, but apparently this is the side of the map that they call their home. Nuffies wants to play mid. That's what their solo queue shows me. That's what he said in chat to me. So with that in mind, I like this adjustment at the very end. Dorado Gaming Sigma digging deep into the bag of tricks to ensure that they stay undefeated, at least in terms of the series. But XG Lightning, they've already struck a killing up blow to Dorado. They got themselves a win, and now we're going to see if they can take the series. We're going to throw to a quick break. When we return, it's going to be for the third and final game of the night. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. Dorado Gaming, Sigma, and XG Lightning taking to the Rift for the third time tonight. I didn't even expect to get this far, Shibby, but XG Lightning very much impressed in game number 2 with a clutch performance by Juicebox and company. They rallied around the Sivir, they took that puppy to victory, and now they're able to take to the Rift and perhaps hand Dorado Gaming Sigma their very first series loss.
Yeah, as we see the 5-point defense just coming out from both of these guys. I think both of them understand that, this is a crucial game, right? If you're Dorado Sigma, you don't want to get exposed. You want to keep that. You want to keep that win streak. You want to keep the undefeated record. If you're, on the side of XG Lightning, this gets you one step closer to that #1 spot, right? That top spot, right? You give a loss to Dorado, you propel yourself a little bit more forward. You go from 3-2 to 4-2. You make I believe Dorado New go down to 5-1, right? So you puts you that much closer within striking distance, and you could potentially, avoid a bad playoff seed, right? A bad matchup later on, since we only have one more week of regular play.
And this does mean that I think XG Lightning is going to have immaculate luck to tie with Dorado Gaming Sigma for the lead already, because they have been handed at least one game loss in this series. I think that, on points, Dorado Gaming Sigma may still come out ahead, like I said, barring a miracle. But overall, XG Lightning still has shown that they're ramping up in this game and in this series, and certainly they can be ramping up for the entirety of the BOL. Coming to playoffs, I think, with a high seed is really valuable, but furthermore, coming to playoffs with the narrative that you have momentum behind you is immensely valuable. We've seen these kind of submarine performances before, be it in BOL, be it in other amateur leagues, and XG Lightning really could be the team that we're seeing the praises of moving deeper on into this Platinum division.
Yeah, as we see Griffin and Matt G get that level 2 for themselves here. Really nice, getting that push going. Overall, the lanes going pretty quiet right now. Phoenix Flare not doing too many of those, shenanigans that we see with Jarvan, actually just opting in for a regular clear. But Banger actually going for the 3 camp, potentially into the mid gank here. 2 Chains might come out.
And Prim is going to die. I feel it in my bones already. Summoner Spell's gone. The problem is, Nuffies is traded back, and now bot side of the map, Griffin getting ganked means that this is overall a favorable cross map for XG Lightning as the opening volley of this third match. And that is a 1-2 scoreline already. XG Lightning getting a kill bot makes a lot of sense. Phoenix Flare, obviously, on the Jarvan's a great ganker. But the fact that that is funneled over to Juicebox means that we could just be getting a repeat performance, this time on the MF.
Really nice gank from Phoenix Flare onto that bot lane, right? Opted in for it. We thought he wasn't going to go in for shenanigans. I think he saw the gank mid and used that opportunity instead of going for his camps, just going for the gank here. Now Prim will trade 1-for-1 in that 2v1 gank. Summoners are down. Nuffies does have the flash, though, can follow up as Improvise and Juicebox once again taking it to Matt G.
Just a little stun coming through. Rel doesn't exactly have the highest index of stuns, so it means that Matt G can continue to push. The thing is, Phoenix Flare is here again for yet another repeat push forward, and with this sandwich, Juicebox has the willpower to walk up once more. Crashdown comes through. Improvise can't quite land it, but still, Griffin is dead. It's now up to the Zeri to try to get something back, but in a 1v3, that is a very sticky situation.
And Zeri just doesn't do the damage, doesn't have the damage ready, as Prim is going to W in, but Banger's going to be able to kill him.
Yeah, Banger once again wrapping through, uses that Arctic Assault, and Prim just kind of stands there, taking their fate in kind. And now, with Matt G overextending in that bot side of the map alone, without Griffin there to back them up, that yet again is XG Lightning coming out with a 2-to-1 cross map, and they continue to cement their lead. They're about 1,000 gold up at the 4-minute mark, almost the 5-minute mark. But Shibby, that is a fantastic dynamic. That's even better than what we saw in game number 1.
I really like this kind of more lane dominant play, I would say, coming out from XG Lightning. They're getting the winning lane matchup. They're playing something aggressive, and they're just really taking it to Matt G and Griffin. Kartana's going to have a swell time in this top. As I say that, he's going to eat the face breaker here. But it's Gragas. You're not going to kill him. Like, he's just a tank. He went tier. He's going to drink his beer, and then he's just going to heal up. and then eventually going to set up for a Phoenix Flare gank or an improvised gank, and Sluter's going to go down. Like you mentioned, Sluter is going to try to walk up with, he has the ultimate available. Prim and Improvise are both here to try to gank Sluter.
Makes sense. You might as well get that one lane ahead that is not ahead quite yet, Shibby. So I do like the rotation quite a bit. Yep. That being said, Kartana just has no mana, so it's pretty hard to force that unless we see a massive overextension by Sluter. And good call by the set to back off to respect the possible rotation that XG Lightning was aiming towards. The set is just going to be able to push these waves out, and with the teleport available, they have pretty liberal back timers, so it is the case that Dorado Gaming Sigma at least are stable top side of the map. What I'm really worried about, though, Shibby, for DGS's chances, even on blue side, is the fact that already Matt G and Griffin feel pretty uncomfortable in this 2v2, particularly given the fact that it's very rarely an actual 2v2. Phoenix Flare has been camping the spotlight something fearsome.
Yeah, and we saw Banger doing really good in game 1, game 2, matching pressure for pressure. I think Phoenix Flare is just, you know, in this game, on a better champion, on a more early game focus is Nuffy's. Is he just going to go? He does have the double distortion available.
Yeah, it's LeBlanc. LeBlanc, yeah, there's no real way to kill the champion in that situation, especially prior to level 6, right? I don't really think Cataclysm does a whole lot versus the LeBlanc, but it does mean that Phoenix Flare, I think, is going to de-emphasize ganks for at least a little bit, stick a few more camps for themselves in order to ensure that the next time that they hit a lane, it's going to be with the full-on combo. That being said, they are going to be denied their Gromp, and they may even go down. There's a possible dive setting up here, although Prism is doing a great job rotating answer back against Nuffy's, and now because that is the case, the LeBlanc just has to dash over the wall. The problem is Improvise goes way too deep with 0 follow-up, and that rail is going to be set packing for no real reason.
Improvise thought he could flash over the wall, but we just see the Renata interaction come into full effect here. The handshake, into the move into your team, into the burst. You're not close enough to flash in, and especially if you're dismounted as well, you move so slow on the rail that you can't even get the move speed to get near the wall to flash. So really well played from a Dorado here to kind of punish that over-aggression, which really both of these teams have struggled with, right? Just going a little too ham at the wrong time, and enough of that happens, one team just walks away with the win.
And that will be first dragon claimed by DGS. And that gold lead that we were talking about, 1,000 in favor of XG Lightning, has completely closed back up. 8 minutes in, the team is even. And I think we're going to be getting a very similar dynamic to game number 2, where Shibby, it's going to be all down to some big plays, some big team fights for us to really see where the power level of these two teams lie. That being said, Sluter is going to get insect into the tower by a really well-placed explosive cast. Kartana doing a great job, even at low mana and oftentimes low resources, pushing back against the set. And now look at this, Phoenix Flare is able to rotate up, still not level 6, but perfectly happy to claim this kill up versus Sluter, who uses the showstopper but is killed right as they exit their ult.
Nyarko, I gotta educate you a little bit right now. The cool kids, the hip ones, the Graga stuff is not called insect anymore, it's called bomba. Everybody just says bomba, right? And when it happens, right, in the chat and everything, all they say is bomba because of that one dude on TikTok that just like goes ham on Gragas. So yeah, you're right. Gets the insect. I still think it's an insect, right? We both think it is, but the cool kids call it bomba now.
I'm far too tired for Zoomer shit right now, Shibby.
You gotta keep up with the Zoomers, Nyarko. You gotta keep up with the lingo.
They're literally called Zoomers. How can I keep up with them, Shibby? They're called Zoomers. They zoom right by, just like their attention span, zooming right out the window. Anytime that, you know, a video isn't accompanied by Minecraft parkour, it's just over for this generation, dude.
Yeah, I like the Zoomer. Hey, give me a bomba in the chat. I know that they're gonna do it. Probably they won't, but we'll see. There's some guy against Sloppy Walrus. That's the dude apparently, the bomba guy.
I see.
Like you mentioned, really well played from Kartana here on the Phoenix Flare. They get that kill. They secured onto Sluter.
Oh, Nuffy's.
Right now, XG Lightning. Nuffy's, though, he might die. He has a distortion available.
100%, yeah. Prim is easily able to just follow up on the distortion by utilizing their rocket jump, and they just ensure that that kill is going to go in their favor, which is unfortunate because Nuffies was really the strong point for DGS right now. Now that shutdown gold flowing back over to XG Lightning, pushing them back into the lead. Now they're almost up 2,000 gold off of that one. And it could be more if Dorado Gaming Sigma continues to overstep or just disrespect how much ganking power this Jarvan has. Bomba going to be used. Kartana just will repel the approach from Banger and Sluter. Although bot lane, this is a rough situation for sure for Griffin and Matt G. Improvise jumps in with the Magnet Storm. I don't know why Zeri is fighting this whatsoever. They're going to try to use the bailout to their advantage, but Improvise picks the kill up. Now, Prim fighting Nuffies in River is going to succeed in just killing the LeBlanc for a second time. Now that Tristana will struggle to get out, but Phoenix Flare is taking a 2v1, and it's about to become a 2v2 with Kartana rotating in. Big body slam slowing up two members. The Jarvan, I think, needs to just wrap around and go for the further engage. They probably can stop this play from taking down the Gragas. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to see out of the jungler. Kartana gets one before they fall. And Phoenix Flare is trying to fight versus Sluter. Good flashback on the Phoenix Flare. Almost takes it versus the top laner, but Dorado Gaming Sigma's top will hang on.
Sluter with a massive play, right? Gets the double kill, like you said, makes the 2 for 3. 2 for 3 on the side of Dorado Sigma, and they are still down about 2,000 gold. But that, like you mentioned, Kartana's never gone against Sluter. He's gonna get Nuffies twice. Maybe that's the difference maker.
Let me tell you the difference maker was, Jimmy. It was the fact that, like, Phoenix Flare just kind of stood there and didn't help the Gragas, who took, like, half their health bar and damage as he slowly waddled towards the tier 2 tower. I think that if the Jarvan went in earlier, because he had flash up, right? That could have just been a full-on wipe. Dorado Gaming Sigma would have struggled a lot more fighting off against two people rather than kind of getting, like, that action movie scene where it's like a huge group, but they just go in one at a time for the protagonist to easily, like, mop them up. I don't know. It felt a little bit off. Dorado Gaming Sigma, therefore, are going to come out a little bit more even than I was expecting. Still, they are down a substantial amount of gold here 12 minutes into the game, and that kill score of 6-9 shows the strength that XG Lightning has early.
I mean, you just look at the composition coming out from XG Lightning as well. The double 80 carries are thriving right now. Nyarko, they've got double Kraken Slayer, Mythics pretty much across the board for their team. While you look on the side of Dorado Gaming, Gore Drinker, and that's it. You don't really have too much on Nuffies. You don't have Matt G on his Mythic, right? You're not getting to those item breakpoints just yet. Sluter is really the only one that can even look to kind of potentially fight. But Kartana with the Roa is just so tanky. He just wins this out. And if it's a war of attrition, you're not going to win against the Gragas.
Not at all. And while we're talking about the top lane, we got to look bot as well. XG Lightning are going to grab themselves a Drake, split the count on that front. Banger had to utilize their Glacial Prison relatively early on in that fight, and they were just unable to find an angle into the pit because of it. And so that is just going to be a furthered lead on XG Lightning's side. They have fully crested the 2K milestone now. They're going to try to continue to widen it. Few more picks and kills, and I think that Dorado Gaming Sigma may very much be out of this early game.
They are down, like you said, 2,500 gold for Dorado here, but that's not a crazy thing. As Nuffies,
Nuffies
back stopped,
decides to go right back in though. I don't what? Okay, Dorado Gaming Sigma apparently wanted to just donate a game to XG Lightning and donate a series because of it. They're like, the party's over, guys. Our undefeated streak is over. Now we might as well break both of the undefeated streaks at once, right? So, you know, that pick is very crucial for XG Lightning because they're going to be able to crack open this mid lane, get double charges off of the Rift Herald, and that gold lead I was talking about. Yeah, look at it now, Shibby. That's 4K in Red Squad's favor. Who expected this versus the very top team in the league?
It doubled in the matter of seconds, right? It's like those RuneScape gold guys. You give them 2K, they'll double your gold. You give it again, and it's gone. It's just gone, right? As XG Lightning are pulling further and further ahead, they drop the Rift Herald. They get the kill onto mid. The double charge into the double turrets mid lane, tier 2 and tier 1. they're just walking away with this game right now. So much gold being funneled into Juicebox, into Prim, the primary carries for this team. If you take one down, there's another one just shooting into your back, right? It sucks if you're on the side of Dorado Sigma Gaming, right? Dorado Gaming Sigma, sorry. Nuffies doesn't have the burst yet. Matt G has not hit the power spike at the moment. He needs to get to that Navori as quick as possible. And Banger and Sluter, despite their best efforts, are not fed enough to carry this game.
And Dorado Gaming Sigma just truly have thrown away so much priority off of that mid play that XG Lightning are going to be able to run the Rift in much of the way that they did in game number 2. Except, you know, their ability to just get perma-prio, Shibby, was established like 20 minutes into the game or so. A little bit more than that, in fact. 15 minutes in, they've taken down both towers in the mid lane. They're going to be constantly shoving in, and because that is the case, XG Lightning have total control and carte blanche over the Baron Nashor, over the Dragon. I mean, that is probably the best second Rift Herald you could ever ask for. And honestly, Shibby, I don't really see a pathway forward for Dorado Gaming Sigma that doesn't require a big mistake on XG Lightning's part for them to be knocked back out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Matt G going for the full carry as well right now. He didn't even go for the shield bow that we usually see on Zeri, instead opting in for the Kraken, just understanding that we just need damage. We need to be able to shred through this Gragas, shred through this Jarvan. And now the 4-man comes in. A shield bow's not even going to save you, brother.
Yeah, Prim is disgustingly fed at this point in time on the Tristana, and unfortunately, Matchy has just not been— What? Nuffy? Bro. Okay, I mean, they get out. That's nice,
Baited.
I guess.
Baited.
Yeah, baited. Yeah, Nuffy's doing the calculations, right? All the tabulations, pulling out the calculator and slide ruler and saying, yeah, I'm getting out at 100 health. Totally worth it to go for this. But now, the LeBlanc can't even defend. The tier 2 tower is probably also going to go down with all of the busts and power that Prim has. I mean, I have no clue what Nuffy's is doing, but they're really selling this game back over to XG Lightning something fierce.
5,000 gold, almost 6,000 now in the favor of XG Lightning here. The double 80 carry composition, the charge from the Tristana, the Jarvany, that is a turret slaying team composition, right? If they get onto it uncontested, they're gonna take it down in an instant here. And now Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, gonna be looking to stack that in XG Lightning's favor right now. They want that Ocean Soul. Baron is up as well. If Dorado take this fight and lose, they're just gonna beeline it to Baron potentially in the next two minutes.
And I don't really see a way that XG Lightning will be able to lose this fight. Already, the priority mid is demonstrably putting Dorado Gaming Sigma on the back foot. They still want to try to push in with Sluter here. Prim has not rotated quite yet. They went for a pretty delayed reset. And because that is the case, XG Lightning need to be afraid about overstepping here, especially with a lot of tools up on Dorado Gaming Sigma's side. But as soon as the Tristana does make it into the bot side river, this is going to be a losing battle for DGS. They're just down way too much gold for me to think that there's a chance that they have an angle. Regardless, they will set up around this Ocean Drake. It's going to be up to, I think, Improvise first to go for the engage. And now with Kartana on the flank, there's tons of possibilities. They're just able to body slam over the wall, get a big explosive cast, knock some members forward. But instead they want to rotate in. Sluter continuing in front line though. And honestly, Dorado Gaming Sigma, they may actually be able to pick something up off that huge ultimate from the Sejuani Nuffies right on the far side like you're talking about. And Cataclysm is actually a huge boon for Dorado Gaming Sigma. Phoenix, Flare leaving their mark, and unfortunately, it's all coming up in favor of blue side. They trapped in the red team, and look what's happening now. Prim close to getting picked as it's a flashback. That's 3 for nothing.
I just want to say that fight started off with Banger getting an absolutely sick, nasty glacial prison onto
100%.
Juicebox. Once that landed, Nuffies came in with the burst off of the flank. The dream team fight came in. Juicebox didn't even get to use the bullet time. That ultimate from Banger and Nuffies, the combination there won them that fight. And yes, they're still down 4,000 gold, but they pick up the objective. They breathe some life back into the team as now Sluter
I don't think they can 2v1, unfortunately. Juicebox, we've seen their kiting before, and once again, it pays off. Don't think the flash was necessary, but regardless, they secure a kill. And because Topside's also getting pushed down, it looks like XG Lightning just want to immediately rush the Baron while Sluter's off the map.
Yeah, they want to take
have a
it.
fast
It's a
take.
smart call from XG here. They got double ADC. They've got Jarvan ready to go. They took Sluter down. Yeah, this Baron is gonna go uncontested. Banger, unfortunately, is on the bot side, clearing his Raptors, his Red, his Krugs here. Really good play calling from them, taking advantage of the death of Sluter. They grab that Baron. They stabilize the gold lead. Now it's 6,000 still in the favor. But if they take another fight like that, if XG Lightning can get these crazy schedules, these crazy team fights, a couple of those, and Dorado's Gaming Sigma is back in this game.
We need the refs to check the mid lane. There's clearly something psychosomatic going on where Nuffies and Sluter are just like completely motivated to take really man-down fights for no apparent reason and give up huge advantages over to XG Lightning because of it now. That is going to be Baron Nashor answering back versus all of XG Lightning's maybe mid-game woes. That was a tough fight that they just took around the Dragon, but it just ultimately doesn't matter. They've built that nest egg of a gold lead back up, and it's just going to continue to develop. I've already talked at length, Shibby, alongside you about how much tower busting power XG Lightning has with Prim available, and Prim so fed in this game. That is just going to continue here, and now if Dorado Gaming Sigma takes another rough fight, I think that this game is all but over.
It's definitely rough for Dorado Gaming Sigma, but that team fight there kind of just opened my eyes a little bit, like, hey, maybe they could do something, as Matt G does eat a cast to the face here. Juicebox, though, letting the ult rip.
Magi does have to flash out, so they will only eat about half of Juicebox's ultimate, but still, I see Lightning have pushed all the way to the tier 3 tower bot, and they kind of need to do so. They've already wiped out so many turrets that this is the place that they're going to go for. Nuffy's looking for the angle, flashes for it, but still cannot secure the stun off of the chains, so that's a wasted summoner spell from a champion that really needs that maneuverability to find picks, and we already see how suicidal Nuffy's can be if they don't have their tools available to get back out of sticky situations.
Banger's looking for another.
No.
Oh. Improvise.
Good flashback by Griffin, but yet again, flash burn. Dorado Gaming Sigma, they get nothing for as many resources as they burn, and Kartana just teleports back bot side of the map. They're going to continue to push this issue. Banger and Nuffy's wrapping around the corner, maybe looking for a pick here, but you really need to hit Prim, or this play is not going to work, and now Sluter's getting caught out by the crash down that Improvise is bringing to the table. Hostile takeover going to be challenged, but Prim is just blowing up their mid lane partner, and now look at this fight bot side of the map. Juicebox kills Matt G, and Dorado Gaming Sigma just have to cower to the tier 3 tower. It's gonna fall down even with some low members. XG Lightning finds so many advantages. Look at the body slam into ultimate over the wall from Kartana, and now Phoenix Flare finds an angle win with the Cataclysm. Sluter tried to do all they can to hold off, but they're taken down. Now Banger, the last one left alive, will not be able to defend the legacy of Dorado Gaming Sigma, Shimmy.
Yeah, they take the inhibitor. They don't want to go for any more. Nuffies is back up. Matt G as well. They don't want to give kills over to some of the carries of Dorado Gaming Sigma here. Overall, one fight for XG Lightning, but Prim, the absolute Chad of a player, hops over the wall, bursts Nuffies out completely before he can even enter the fight, and escapes with his life as well for a little bit longer before he goes down in that bot lane skirmish. An absolute maniac of a play, but just understanding his champion, understanding the potential, and understanding what he needs to do on this champion. Keep Nuffies out the fight, and you just have Matt G left to deal with the rest of XG Lightning here, as a slight disconnect does come in. But now Dragon, what was XG Lightning's lost fight, they're gonna go back to it again.
Here's the wild thing about it, Shibby. For as much as we've been highlighting the fact that Prim is obliterating people, suddenly Juicebox has 6 kills again, and it's the same story as with the Sivir. Sure, maybe it isn't the hardest scaling champion in the world, but the MF doesn't need to be. We're only 24 minutes into the game. Matt G has 1 item to their name and is basically useless versus all the dive that XG Lightning has available. I mean, this is just the dream scenario for Red Squad. They're going to be able to take this Ocean Drake uncontested, and now I think that they in fact can continue to pressure, maybe walk this down mid. Top lane is the only lane with the tier 2 tower available, available, so I'd like to see someone split on that front. But with Prim on the prowl, once again, looking bot and distracting a lot of Blue Squad members, besides the fact that you also have the super minions coming through on that lane, I mean, it's yet again a rough scenario where Dorado Gaming Sigma have to sit back. They have 0 priority, and with Baron in a minute, this is another possible lead for XG Lightning, and I frankly think that this game is all but over. It's just so hard to come back from the situation. If they were like down gold but not down this many towers, it'd be better, but they haven't picked up a single tower as a response, Shibby.
Yeah, they're going for the clean gameplay here. Haven't lost a tower. They haven't lost anything right now. As now XG Lightning looking for that mid lane push. Super's pushing into the bot lane here. They're going to turn their attention towards that top lane. As they're going to back out. Like you said, Baron coming up as well in 40 seconds. Unfortunately, Prim also banging on the doors of the Nexus. Just go for it. In for it, baby.
I'm not really sure why Prim decided to overextend right there if they weren't going to fully commit and take down the Nexus Tower. And so they will be able to save both on DSG side. And the fact that now the Tristana's off the map means that XG Lightning probably cannot take the Baron Nashor on cooldown. They certainly are pathing back over towards it, though. So let's see what Improvise and company are going to do besides clear out the wards.
Yeah, he thought he could get out, and then he like saw everybody convening on him. So he's like, all right, well, maybe I can try to get this. And he kind of efforted both of the endeavors. Right? Maybe I can get out. Never mind. Maybe I can take it. You just got to full commit. Either you go for that Nexus turret, take it down because you're Tristana, die for it, open up the base a little bit more, or you just completely get out once you see your team leaving. Unfortunately, isn't able to do both. Give some gold over back, I think, specifically to Matt G, who ended up picking up his Navori. So now, 26 minutes in, Matt G is finally at that Zeri power spike. But like you mentioned, Nyarko, it might be too little too late.
When you look at it in comparison with XG Lightning's ADC, the Misfortune is still about half an item ahead of the Zeri, but like you're saying, this is a power spike for the AD carry of DGS. This is their best chance to go for some kind of desperation play. It could be around the Baron Nashor. We're seeing a lot of Blue Squad members camp out in their own jungle, looking for an angle in, but vision control, all in favor of XG Lightning once again. And if you do in fact lose this fight, you are losing this series, Chibi. So a lot is riding on the line. Let's see what both of these teams bring to the table here, as Banger does find the ability to lance into the river top side of the map, but XG Lightning like grouping as 5 with Set being forced to wave clear for Dorado Gaming Sigma means that this is always going to be a man down fight, and Improvise knows this. They go in with the Magnet Storm, but unfortunately they are unable to find the damage and follow up, so they're just going to be taken out. Now this is a little bit more even. In fact, Dorado Gaming Sigma might just turn this. They're going to teleport in with Sluter, and although we do see the Arctic Assault being used alongside the Glacial Prison, you got to look into the mid-lane now. XG Lightning are trying to just take down these towers and end the game off of a backdoor. Sluter immediately going to return back to the base. They'll be able to take them down. Banger fighting 2 near the Baron Nashor. Dorado Gaming Sigma tried to hold on. Sluter, they're going to be able to kill Cartana. The Gragas is fully pushing towards just taking down both of the Nexus turrets. They'll be unable to do so, but now Griffin is going to die in the topside jungle. It is madness on the Rift, and it is now all up to Sluter to push back against the incoming onslaught from Juicebox, Phoenix Flare, and Improvise.
Oh, they're coming back. The Nexus Tower is on a sliver of health. Juicebox needs to tap it once, breathe on it, blow a feather, just sneeze on it real quick, and it's going to go down. But Sluter, the one-man army, biceps
There's
and
Phoenix Flare.
and ready.
Yeah, he's just going to spear straight through. Now, Phoenix Flare is on the Nexus. He's going low. Sluter in a 1v3, trying to do all they can to keep the hopes of the game alive. Banger is back up. Nuffies as well. Phoenix Flare going to be chased down as a shutdown comes through for Juicebox. And now, with the Jarvan taken out and Improvise getting run over, Dorado Gaming Sigma will save the game for the time being. They may even be able to rotate back over, try to go for the Baron, try to interrupt the Dragon stacking, do something. But they are facing down an open Nexus and 2 dead inhibs.
Inhib has respawned into that bottom side. I think it just respawned while all that madness was happening. But the gold lead has closed down a little bit. It was 6,000 at one point. Now it's only 4,000. And Nyarko, we're 30 minutes into the game now. 4,000 gold is nothing. Zeri's got items. The LeBlanc has some items. Set has some items as well. They're looking to take these fights. And now with the depths of XG Lightning's jungler, the bottom lane as well. They're just going to take the Baron here. They're going to trade Soul Point for Baron. XG Lightning are going to let Dorado Sigma live a little bit longer, but can they just get that killing blow?
Well, this is not Soul quite yet. XG Lightning gonna have to wait a little bit longer before they can confidently just stat check Dorado Gaming Sigma. And because that's the case, perhaps this Baron Nashor will finally get some of these core objectives back over to DGS. I want to see a few towers go down. That will at least allow for them to push back out once this last inhibitor responds, Shibby. But as it currently stands, unfortunately, Blue Squad is still just so held within their base that it cuts down on the value of the big purple worm besides its raw gold income. So yeah, we're in for a wild one. Unfortunately, XG Lightning is still very much ahead, so that's something to watch out for if you're a DGS fan.
We've got one more fight, Nyarko.
At least.
That's what I'm thinking. No. Put it on black, Nyarko. We've got one more fight, okay? That's it. This
I don't know.
Determines which team wins.
I think we have one more fight if XG Lightning wins, but Dorado Gaming Sigma are going to need more than one to end this game, you know?
I mean...
They have no waves. They have no waves.
Mid lane could be pushing. As long as XG Lightning keep the lane shoved here, as Dorado is going for something a little bit tricky. They're not using this Baron. They're not really looking to push with it. They're just trying to set a trap right now. They still recognize that they're far behind in gold, but Zeri has picked up what is believed to be the LDR. Has the Last Whisper, is going to be picking up the LDR pretty soon. He's going to be online. He's going to start tearing through this team. Juicebox and Brim, they might not have the punch just yet.
I mean, Juicebox still is a full item plus some change up on Zeri, so certainly you have to focus down the MF quickly. The thing is, MF is not at a state where she just one-shots everybody and there's no recourse, right? As long as Dorado Gaming Sigma play their cards right, there is a chance that they survive and they're able to push down some of these towers, really get the momentum in their favor. But it's going to be a miraculous carry performance from basically everybody on DGS's side. They can show none of the weakness that they've exhibited in games number 2 or much of this third game either. And so Shibby, very much the lines in the sands are being drawn. Here comes the enclosing push from XG Lightning. Prim going to be able to relocate back into the mid lane. That can provide another angle of pressure. And Kartana will be able to body slam out of the initial engage. Still has to go golden. Now flashing away. It looks like XG Lightning don't want the smoke. Even with improvised, maybe having a Magnet Storm angle, they decide to not take it. They are respecting the power that Dorado Gaming Sigma has been able to bring back into the wheelhouse.
And this respect may end up becoming their downfall as more and more waves, as more and more gold gets funneled onto Matt G here. Nyarko, I've seen Zeri do absolutely disgusting things here, but I think XG Lightning, they're biding their time. They're waiting for the perfect engage. They have the Cataclysm ready. They've got the bullet time ready to come in here. They just need to combo these abilities. Prim and Juicebox can do it, but it's going to be off the back of Phoenix Flare's engage.
I like the call for DGS to finally start pushing down some of these towers. With the inhibitors already reconstructed, Kartana can no longer go for a backdoor. The thing is, XG Lightning still have immense combat power, and any picks here is going to spell doom for blue team. Dorado Gaming Sigma, once more, just returning to their side of the rift to clear out some vision, but they're going to have to take a pretty rough reset to probably push back against what is probably going to be an incoming siege towards the mid inhibitor. From there, if XG Lightning are able to take that down there, that's an easy rotation over to get the Ocean Soul in their favor. This is going to be a tough one for Dorado Gaming Sigma. For as much as they've caught up, this game is nowhere near done for them.
Yeah, XG Lightning, they just need to get that Dream engaged. The Magnet Storm Cataclysm into the bullet time. They just need to catch a couple members, or if Prim can just solo somebody out, as now they're just waiting, right? They traded Soul Point for the Baron. Unfortunately, DGS couldn't use that Baron to push any turrets down. They got one mid lane turret after all that, but now Ocean Soul is steering them down the barrel. Improvised is on a flank, though.
Yeah, I think that Dorado Gaming Sigma are way too far forward, especially without Sluter there. Here comes the engage. Bullet time activated. The Cataclysm as well launched. Dorado Gaming Sigma. That G is dead. Griffin is going to follow them to the grave. Sluter comes in far too late for them to be able to save the hopes of Dorado Gaming Sigma staying undefeated. XG Lightning find a beautiful angle off the rail, and they will end this series.
The Rel engaged the Cataclysm into bullet time. I thought the engage would be off the back of Phoenix Flare, but Improvise says, you know what? My bedtime is here. Shibby, you gotta go eat dinner. Let's hand Dorado Gaming Sigma their first loss of the Blue Water Platinum League.
And what an immaculate performance from XG Lightning. When they get ahead, Chibi, this team looks unstoppable. Dorado Gaming Sigma, they just felt like they were gambling all series, even game number 1. When you look back, looking at the arc of this story, you see them going for a 5v5. They get 3 kills. Boom, the game's over. But XG Lightning, on the other hand, did the exact same thing. And frankly, they looked better in most of these laning phases. They deservedly take this victory, and they make a statement here. They are able to hit the top contender, and who knows what they're going to be able to do in playoffs.
Just a really well executed team play from XG Lightning. They dropped game 1. They tried to get cute with Dorado Gaming Sigma, and it didn't work out. They got stomped in 25 minutes. Game 2, they come back with the counter punch. Off the back of Cartana and Juicebox, they win that second game. And now, once again, I feel like I'm singing their praises, but this time, Juicebox and Prim are the carries for XG Lightning here. They pop off on this double 80 carry composition. They had the press R comp Niarco, and you saw what happened. Improvise with a massive flash magnet storm into the Cataclysm, into the bullet time, and I just saw Matt G's life bar disappear in the blink of an eye after he went down. After he was sent back to the fountain, the game was over. Really nicely played from XG Lightning, understanding what they need to do to win, and they get that engage off. They were waiting and waiting and biding their time, and they get that victory 2-1 over Dorado Gaming Sigma, giving them both their first loss of Blue Otter Platinum League, but also their first 2-game loss, right?
Certainly. And honestly, like I said before, Dorado Gaming Sigma, they look far less complete than I thought they would. It felt as if we never really found a comfort zone for Nuffies and Sluter. In the mid lane, Nuffies got pretty ahead on the LeBlanc in this third game, but they were only able to, in the next following 25 minutes, pick up 2 more kills, and they died so many times, Shibby. This is a champion that's exceptionally slippery, should not struggle that much with giving up kills, yet they did. And now, because that was the case, that was a huge weak point that XG Lightning could push through. And this isn't even to mention what was happening back. I mean, Juicebox is just so strong. They've carried 2 games in a row. Look at that damage output. The most on the team twice running. Sivir, the Misfortune, 2 very different looks of marksman. And frankly, I think that they are one of the strongest elements of XG Lightning and a real threat at a title going forward here in the BOL Platinum Division.
Yeah, really, really well played. We might have just gotten our treat for a grand finals matchup. Niarco, both of these teams, very strong. It's nothing to take away from Dorado Gaming, by the way. They were 5-0 before this, right? They're a strong team. They're going to take this in stride. They're going to look back at this, and they're going to use it as fuel. They're still perched up at the top of that mountain at the first place spot. We've got 1 more week of regular season play, Niarco, I believe, and then we get into the seeding match. Then we get into playoffs, and then we'll get into the championship not too long after that. So these teams, they will meet again. Sooner or later, they are going to feel either the sting of defeat or the clutches of victory. But XG Lightning, in this week 5 matchup, they take it.
Impressive stuff for sure. Shout outs to XG Lightning. Thank you, Dorado Gaming Sigma, for making this such a crazy series, though. And thank you to everybody watching. We could not do the BOL without you guys, and we're so happy that you're here to witness history. We're going to have so much more content for you in coming weeks, in coming days. It's not just the Platinum Division to be excited about. I know there's crazy stuff happening at every single ELO, so make sure to drop a follow. Stay with this Twitch channel because we have many more things on the horizon. Playoffs coming through for a bunch of different leagues as well, and frankly, every single day is a banger here in the BOL. Thank you to Pop-Tart, as always, for producing, bringing the highest quality of production from the depths of the internet all the way to your home. So So shout out to them. Let's get some applause in chat for that. But that is everything from us tonight. Shibby, thank you for being my constant companion throughout this BOL journey. It has been a privilege and a pleasure. We're going to have some more Baron throws this season, I'm sure, before it comes to an end. So let's look forward to that as well. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a good night.